Evening, guys.
Yeah, welcome to episode 29 of the Gray Area Talks live show. Really enjoying doing the show with you guys, and got a heavy topic for today. Today is not fun. Today is not something that we should really joke about, and I get why people like to use humor and stuff at times like this. I don't really like to do it. I just kind of like to evaluate the situation, but like people are legitimate monsters. People will commit a mass act of like casualty or violence or death. And, it's a very minor decision for some people to like pick up a knife or a gun and do something like this, right?
Yeah.
And this is something as to where we're very desensitized to it here in America because we have the most guns. And like, I'm very pro Second Amendment ultimately to the end, basically like repeal the NFA and all that stuff. But like we have a ton of gun crime here and it's something that we're used to. But these populations that are completely disarmed, like it's like shooting fish in a barrel, basically.
Yeah,
You
Australia.
watch these videos, isn't it disturbing?
Yeah, Australia hasn't had a mass shooting like this in a very long time, and they did very strict gun laws back in the 80s or 90s, I believe.
Something
when they had a mass
happened.
shooting of like 30 people, and they just did a mass overhaul of their judicial system and laws surrounding something like this. So, yeah, they're not used to these events like Rex is talking about.
Yeah, and then I'm just saying, like, you got police officers that are on the scene. Like you can hear the sirens. Like they're not coming in further, right? They're not
Yeah.
on their way. Like they're there. And the cops, I hear, like I watched my dad's program today and he's like, they had firearms, but they don't know how to use them. They're just issued them, whatever. And then the way that these like Western, like European or like, like British colonial descendant countries like Australia, the way they operate is they have like special cops that have the guns and know how to use them, like
Oh,
SWAT,
really?
like a SWAT team, basically.
Yeah.
But a SWAT team is just like a normal police officer, basically. So like you're helpless and your government is not going to protect you in this situation. We've got all the important like relevant data. Like me and Tim did a mini deep dive on this, and like we've got the rifle that was used, we've got some of the shooters' ideology possible and speculative motivation. We're looking into that, why exactly events like this do happen just in general. And we've got some crazy footage.
Yeah, majority of the show is going to be on this. We're not doing a deep dive tonight because
No.
of this situation, and we felt like this was something that we should cover.
Special
And
episode, really.
yeah, I think enough people want to know about the specifics. We spent some time digging into it.
Right.
We're going to go through everything from the events to some of the background information that could have led to this. Now, some of these things have not been fully confirmed, but it is the most up-to-date information that we have as of right now.
Right.
So
I think it's awful that we see more and more stuff like this, honestly, just around the globe. Like it's like we talked about the last show. You never see, like, and at least the subjective perception is that there's more and more violence, right? But I think we should go ahead and just, like, we have enough people here anyway. We should just go ahead and get into the video because we are going to watch like most of, if not the whole thing.
Yep.
Because it's important to do actual reporting. And I know that's part of what people are here to see as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and present this to you guys, and we're gonna go ahead and watch it. Unmute.
no, you're good now.
Dude.
Scary.
Okay, so he pulls out the handgun, and I guess that's the son. I guess the guy in more of the black looking shirt is the son, and then the guy with the bag is his dad, possibly. Well, you got people piling out from out of there.
Imagine being one of these people right behind. Yeah, see, he goes down, and then that's when that other scene
Okay,
happens.
so he does circle back to check under the bridge. That was my key thing that I was looking for. That's crazy. It's wild. See, if you did this here, you would get shot within 2 minutes. If you did this anywhere in Texas, you would get shot within 2 minutes.
Somebody would go into their car.
Well, you would just have bullets coming your way.
100%.
Right? Like this is not a theoretical situation. Like these people wouldn't carry out this act of violence if they had that threat on the ground, but they're not worried about the police. They're not worried about civilians having guns. They're just saying, like, we know we're going to get stopped eventually by somebody, but we basically have like 30 minutes to an hour to do whatever we want, right? Because then the cops show up and you hear the sirens, which is the most ridiculous part of the video. The police are there. Like, that's why it's not getting further or going away.
Yep. Oh.
Anyway, who's he talking to?
He's saying, like, he's telling them to go. Well, because he's aiming specifically at the Jewish people is what he's aiming for.
Damn.
He's not going for the other people that were surrounding.
Wow.
He's specifically targeting the people that are out there.
Yeah. All right. Good catch, Tim. Good catch. Fascinating.
Dude, when I woke up this morning, this was the first thing I saw.
I didn't see anything about this until later.
I'm so sick of this shit. That's nutty. And you can see he's looking around. Now, I don't know where the dad is. This is the son, right?
I guess. I'm not sure.
I think this is the point at which the cops start shooting soon.
Come on, guys! What are you doing?
Definitely not yelling in English.
Well, I mean, this is his this is holy for him. Look how desensitized we are to violence, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just watching this like it's a scientific film. I feel for these people, I really do, but you have to just analyze what this guy's doing.
Now, the person filming is like, imagine them being in this situation.
The person filming is actually doing a noble job.
Yeah. I agree.
He's documenting the crimes.
Yep.
So that's actually very brave. That's usable.
I've seen some people be like, why don't you go in there? Like, do you want to go in there while somebody's like live shooting right there?
If I'm armed, absolutely. It's run towards the target. But in a place like this, like assuming I'm there and I'm an Australian, I can't do it.
And what is this guy doing?
I think he's just telling him to stop. I think this is the rabbi. And boom, rabbi.
He got shot?
Yeah, I think so. And he's going for the reload.
That's not the other guy, right?
I don't believe so, no.
Holy.
No, he just shot that other guy in the face, I think. Did he get up?
No, he's right. That is the other guy.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
okay. You're right. I think he does shoot a rabbi, though. I think someone does walk up and he like guns him down. Waiting for that to happen. Fuck.
It sucks as I wish I saw the angle of that way towards the left. I'm not seeing any footage of that.
I think more has come out. I think we'll see more, but this is all I've seen as of today.
What do you guys think about this in the comments?
Yeah, what's going on with this situation? How do y'all feel about this? Oh,
he got shot. Yep.
Did he get shot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
the cops from behind.
Now they got the guns. Now they got guns involved. I wonder what they're shooting back with. You can't see them. They're trained.
Probably rifles too, of their own.
It sounds like it sounds.
A pistol is not going to hit that.
I don't know. Well, it sounds like a handgun to me.
Yeah, his dad is dead. He's dead.
Which is probably what the.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's getting real close.
Yep.
He may have been
fucking die, cunt! Die!
Mm-hmm.
Based.
Now, hold on. Pause this real quick.
This is Call of Duty.
How long has this been going on? So we've been watching this. This has been happening for 5 minutes.
And I'm sure much longer before the camera started.
And he didn't start shooting. They didn't even start shooting this guy until probably 30 seconds ago in this video.
Yeah, and I said 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes is generous. I think within 60 seconds of you being in a wide open place that's highly popular. I mean, this is basically in a town. Within under 60 seconds, you have someone shooting at you. At least down here in the South, in any southern state, especially like Texas or Florida. And like, I just think about these people, and these people have been done a real disservice by being disarmed, because ultimately it's a moral thing. It's a moral thing of being a citizen and having the right to defend yourself. Ultimately, they accept the state as coverage for all of that. Right. And this is the reward of accepting the state for coverage. Is the coverage you get is not going to be perfect, and it's not even going to be adequate. Right.
You know what? I'm curious right now. When's the last time we've had like a terrorist mass shooting like this, where somebody's just gone around and started popping people?
I think of like Pulse nightclub. I think of like there's plenty of school shootings to like Dylan Roof.
I'm saying
would be an
specifically
example.
this is a targeted attack where you've got like an Islamic guy who's doing this in this circumstance.
Yeah, what was it? Dylan Roof. I think he was the guy that attacked the black church. That was really messed up. That was in the 20 teens.
Mhm.
I think. Maybe I'm wrong about
Now,
that.
I do want to say one thing, dude. Even I do this myself where like I give hypotheticals of what I would do in this situation. But in something like this where your adrenaline is like at 100 and you're just like everything's happening at once, it is not the hardest thing to imagine people like freezing up and not knowing.
No,
exactly what to do.
I totally get that. I mean, here's the thing. Number one step is like it's fight or flight or freeze, and you need to at least run, right? Like you got to run away from the situation. I applaud everyone when they are over the bridge firing the other way, like booking it out of there, because a lot of those people are probably still alive because they did that, right?
But in general, even in America, not a lot of people are like in the beach carrying and like
a
have
lot.
their
Yes,
guns.
they are.
Here in Texas,
Dude, there are millions of people that carry in the South, like this.
But like on their
it's constitutional carry. It's legal now in more states than it isn't.
I guess
everyone's
that's a
got
Texas
a gun.
thing, and these
Dude, I mean, you're
New York,
from
you're
up
not
north.
doing that.
Yeah, like it's most of the country, and I say it like 51%. Like that is the law of the land. So like it seriously is like that. You could not do something like this here without getting shot or being under fire immediately. I'm not saying you can't kill people, because of course you can kill people if you have a gun, but they did this because they knew they'd be successful.
Yeah. Something like this could happen in New York. I'm telling you, it's so hard to get a gun.
I mean, just
so
like,
hard.
God forbid, imagine like Subway, right? Like what are you supposed to do? But he's under fire. And he's like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not just killing the innocent people.
What's up, Michael? If you're unarmed, what can you do? You can't do a lot. So.
No. And the thing is, if you have a gun, it's your moral responsibility to try to do something about this. And if you don't have a gun, like just run away. You don't have to fight this guy.
He just got shot, I think.
Good. Yeah. Oh.
Fuck yeah.
Yep. That's why he's incredible.
Yeah,
I want to see the police when they come in. I want to see what they look like. He's like, I got to go to my sidearm.
He's down. He's down.
Okay,
He's down.
they're cop.
I swear to God, I'm not joking.
Absolutely wild.
Very sickening.
It's so hard because, okay, I can see the beach from now. I was like, where is this?
Yeah,
you can see the coast behind the trees too.
Wow. Lord have mercy. Pray for the people's families. No one deserves this. This is it's impacting me emotionally. It's very sickening. Let's just go ahead and fast forward here.
Oh, hold on, no, you skipped too far. There's a guy who comes up. He's like, he looks like him, so they're gonna tackle him, I think. Yeah, see, they think he's him. He's like, it's not me. See?
Talk about a bad place to be.
Yeah,
right?
Wrong place, wrong time. Yeah,
it is true. Why are you walking around?
Especially if you kind of look like him with the black shirt on and everything.
Not catching.
They're not fucking around. They just everybody get down.
No, if you're within that radius and you didn't get shot,
100%. How do you know?
Right.
I'd do the same thing.
That's what the cops got to do. Mind if I fast forward? See if there's anything else. They're just reviewing the dead and whatnot. But wow, right? I mean, wow. Like number one, like it's like you said, we don't really see things like this here. Like we see school shooting, we do see those kind of events, gang violence events. But as far as, I'm thinking of radical acts of like religious extremism. And of course, what comes to mind, it's not a religious extremist event that we know of, but the Las Vegas shooter. I think he killed 114 people.
I was going to say that's the last thing I remember, the Las Vegas, where he was shooting outside the window.
And there's a lot of suspicious stuff involving that guy, right? Like they said they seized like a computer from him that had like 2 terabytes of like CP on it, but then the computer is like from the 90s and could never hold that much data. And then like he had all these guns, but the amount of firepower, I mean, like he was dumping on a country music concert.
Yep. I remember he was up there just laying fire down.
Like that's like the most insane event that I can think of. That wasn't religiously motivated. I think of like the Pulse nightclub shooting where that guy killed all the gay people, of course, and that was religiously motivated,
right?
I believe.
So let me give guys a little breakdown of what happened in the timeline, because obviously the video is only going to show you guys the shooting. So of course everybody knows that this happened today, but Australia's time zone difference, I'm not sure exactly how far, but they're very far ahead of us. So this would have happened super early in the morning for us, but it would happen at 6:47 p.m. local time. So at 6:47, the emergency calls came in where there's active gunfire at a Hanukkah event. The two armed men that you see in the videos that we're watching, they're at the elevated position near the pedestrian bridge, and they're overlooking the park and the beachfront. So this is why I said I wish I could see the left side, because you can't really see where they're shooting at. But 6:47 to 6:55, the panic spreads through the crowds. You've got people fleeing nearby streets and restaurants, and then the witness report the sustained gunfire that we've been watching, and then the police at 6:55 to 7 p.m. The tactical units arrive within minutes. The officers confront the shooters, is what we're seeing at the end of this. And then one attacker is shot and killed by the police, as we saw.
Well, here's the thing. We just watched that video, right?
Yeah.
But then we're about to watch the video of the guy who like grabs the guy from behind and stops the guy. Because we just watched, I thought from start to finish, what happened.
So
what are we missing?
Okay, so this is what I was saying. When the guy at the beginning, the guy at the beginning, when he went down, right? You saw he went down and the other guy was staying up there. That is at the point. That was the guy who went down. That was the father. He got the gun taken away from him. As soon as he got the gun taken away from him, and maybe I'm misreading the situation. That's probably why he went back up and grabbed another weapon, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
That's the only scenario that I can piece together in my mind for this situation. So the second was shot and then disarmed and taken into custody. So at 7:05, the paramedics, they begin like the bridge. They begin a triage. The multiple victims are treated, and people are taken to the hospital. So right now the casualties sit at 15. It definitely can go up from here. I'm seeing 16 now, 40 plus injured, including children, and one attacker that was killed during the police response, which was the father. So the involvement, as you guys can see, is these two guys. You had Sajid Akram, 50, he's 50 years old. He's the father. He's a resident of Southwest Sydney. He's a licensed firearm holder. And we did see that oh my God.
Yeah, this is what I was looking for.
Holy
and someone in the chat said the aftermath video is even worse.
Viewer discretion advised. You can go ahead and
real quick before we say that, and I'll even turn it off so we don't have to look at it while we're talking. This is a serious show. This is, my dad often says on his show, he goes, family show, and this is like the worst thing possible, right? Like this is a mature show. This is for a mature audience, and like I don't like looking at this. Like it made me already feel sick to watch the shooting video. So now I got to watch this. But for the sake of the news, the information, actually knowing what's going on, we have to report on this. So viewer discretion is advised. Like Tim said, like this is just like, oh, dude, it's really fucking bad.
Go ahead and share.
I'm gonna start. Okay. Yeah, dude.
Oh my. CPR.
Yeah. Those people are probably already dead.
He's gone. Damn. See, you wouldn't see this on any other platform but X. I'll tell you that.
Right, that's true.
Oh, there's kid goats. Like this is just a normal Sunday. Everybody's enjoying. Imagine.
The people at the park.
Wow.
Look at the blood.
Oh my God, dude. That is sick. That is sick.
Dude. That's why they covered his head up, guys. Because they blew his head off. That's pretty sick. More people down. And they say at least 12 killed and like a lot more. It's usually like double the number.
Right now it's 15, 16 is the official count.
So people keep dropping?
Yeah, there's 40 plus injured right now.
Wow.
So there could be more that are going to die from their injuries potentially. So
do you want to watch the hero? Really
Yeah,
quick?
yeah,
Do you want to get into the background?
Well, let's get in the background. I just want to quickly cover this real quick. So the son is the one that we're talking about here. He's 24. He's actually, I think he's the one that's like he's an actual citizen of Australia. He's not foreign born, but his background is Pakistani, right? And the father, his education is the thing that's interesting here, right?
Okay.
But do you want to cover this, or do you want to? We should probably watch
I
this.
think we should give a brief, just like this is a father-son kill team. They both adopted the same radical ideology somehow.
But what you should know about this is the education. He studied at 3 different places: Central Queensland University, which is like a normal school, and then you had he studied in Pakistan as well at Hamdrad University in Islamabad, and then he also attended Al Murad Institute, which is an Islamic educational institute, right?
Right.
And he's actually been previously known by the Australian Security Intelligence Organization. So they have clocked this guy before. This is not the first time that they've known, but they let him go. They kind of he's probably on some type of watch list, but lower priority.
We don't want to be racist. Now, we can't be. We're seeing some signs of a violent threat here, and it might be racist to do something about it. So we're going to take a step back.
I think probably what these things put you on the thing is the fact that he went to Pakistan and he's going to these schools specifically. But then also I saw some pictures and videos of like he just looks like a normal guy celebrating going to a cricket match, and he's India versus Pakistan.
Right.
So it's like you never know.
Right. But and I hate to say this because I don't want to back up the Australian censorship regime, like is like one of the worst on the planet, especially what they did to people during COVID. But I bet they're able to do a pretty tight personal assessment, right? Like I think like these countries where you don't really have digital rights, they just introduced digital ID, right? For everyone, like even the people, of course, over 16, like you have to prove that you're not, right? Even if you're 82 years old. So they have a means to track and catalog everybody. They definitely here's the thing, like this is a horrific mass shooting that was carried out by these 2 men because of this thing. But the thing you have to consider is, oftentimes, even with mass shootings here, it's just like, well, the person had 7 prior like indications of like malevolent violence, but we ignored it because
100%. Now, I will say I am grateful for the level of intelligence. I know FBI can be sometimes a broken system, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't. There are a lot of stuff that we never see that come into the news of active prevention of people that would have committed terrorist acts in which they've already clocked these people, they've already hacked, and they already stopped these people before the broader audience of public even know. Like they're everywhere tracking the smallest detail too.
And like there are personal privacy concerns, and I have those. I'm not a fan of those big government organizations just in general, but talking about law enforcement, which should be the government's job, like without some of these higher level, like, I mean, the thing is, I get back to the police officers, right? Like their SWAT team that they waited like the 5 to 10 minutes or will you look up how long this thing was actually in progress for? However long it took, when their SWAT team people showed up, it was just like a regular police officer. And here's you can laugh at the American cop, you call him fat or whatever. The American cop knows how to shoot real well. And I guarantee here you've at least halved the response time if no civilian returns fire. I think a civilian would return fire in under a minute, at least here in the South. But how long did it progress for?
So within 10 minutes.
Really?
So active engagement with the gunman began roughly 4 minutes after the attack footage starts. So eyewitness reporting the attack lasted itself from 10 to 20 minutes approximately. But now that's so, bystanders and sense of time can be.
So let's just say 15 minutes. I think that's reasonable. You got like a 10-minute situation because the camera guy definitely didn't go immediately
no, he pulled that up at later.
Yeah. So we'll call it 15 minutes response time. And like, I'm not cool with that. And the Australian people that are dead, I mean, like, they don't have a voice now to say anything about it. But I think ultimately a society that's disarmed is a society that has a human rights violation. And I believe that these people should have had guns because the bad guy's going to get guns anyway. the guy's going to run over people with a car or make a bomb and blow them up or something. I believe in a civilian right to self-defense because I know that at least if something bad like this happens here, I have options that a person living over in one of these countries where they're disarmed doesn't have. And these people's governments are able to enact all sorts of controls on them. But when it comes down to protecting their citizens, it takes, 15 minutes for them to show up. And when they show up, people are already on the ground.
I mean,
bleeding out,
I'm not
dying.
I'm not anti Second Amendment and guns. Like there's no way you get rid of guns in America. I know some people in California, New York, a lot of these blue places, they'll be like, we just need to get rid of them altogether. We're never going to get to that point. One thing I will say, I was very surprised though. Like I was in, Kansas, and it was like I've never shot a gun before, and it was super easy for me to get one. And just
Right.
from the gun safety practice of like knowing how to handle a weapon and like shoot so I don't blow my own self up, like those things I feel like could be a little bit more than just me giving like a simple card, and like it wasn't very hard at that
See,
point.
we used to have a culture in this country where everyone automatically knew and understand how to use what a gun is. It's emergency rescue equipment, it's an empowerment of your right to not be fucked with in a certain level or at a certain way. Like you don't have someone doesn't have the right to assault you on the street. Like someone doesn't have the right to break into your home. But you look at a place like a New York or something where you have a duty to retreat inside your own home. Right. You have a duty to retreat inside your own home. If someone comes in there and someone breaks down your door, you don't know what they're there for. Like, you don't know if they're there to cause a great bodily injury or death.
Well,
But
I think the major issue is like you said, the guys who want to get a gun illegally are going to get a gun anyways, and
right.
that's where I see the case scenario. Now, you're going to hate me for this, but I'm
Oh,
like,
I'm sure I will.
let's say like even bad guys couldn't get guns, and just let's just say the cops had them in general. I don't see that being as
But
bad of a thing, because then if I know the UK has a knife problem, right, where you get stabbed, but you can't go mass stabbing as easily as you can go put 30 rounds into a bunch of people.
I disagree. And the knife laws get more draconian over time. And they blunt them and they make them shorter and they go further and further. And why is that? Because people are always going to find a way to kill, and their violent crime rate is actually higher than ours. Sure, people die over here with the gun being used as the weapon of choice because it's available, but you can't take cars away from people. You can take baseball bats away from people.
I'd rather have a guy
take-
come at me with a knife than a gun
Really?
where he's that far away and there's not a lot I can
Would
do.
you rather be defenseless or have a gun in that situation?
No, I'm saying if it was
No,
if it was even
my point.
No, if it was even,
you see what I'm saying?
but you forgot what I see where you're going
see
through the
what I'm-
lot. You're
you
going
understand
through the
what I'm
logic trap. I was just saying if even the bad guys and everybody didn't have access to the weapon itself,
You
in a fair
deserve a
fight.
giant firearm
In
with
a-
a giant magazine that you can just dump into someone trying to kill you. And like that's the Southern way. That's the American way.
Yeah.
That's what the founding fathers all said and all agreed on. They didn't just have the musket and whatnot. And I put out this video of me, like, ironically trying to get people on the street to sign up for gun bans or on things that didn't exist. And they had like turret machine guns during the Revolutionary War that were mounted on ships. Like private citizens could own cannons.
Yeah, but the whole purpose of the Second Amendment during that time period was because the America did not have a centralized government or
I disagree.
system
Well,
that
this is not
was
true.
to protect from the outside forces in
Well,
that aspect. That's the thing that they wanted to do for that particular
I
reason.
take your point, but
They didn't have a standing
Supreme
army.
Court's has ruled on this for forever. It's an empowerment of personal liberty.
Well, and that's why I'm not sitting here being like, all right, let's revoke the Second Amendment. It's here to stay.
I hope not.
It's here to stay. I mean, it's just, I mean,
ultimately,
I'm like,
you come from a background where it is not normal, and I am saddened by that because you're deprived a great freedom that you should have.
The likelihood in those areas where most people don't have the gun, and I know people are like, well, better to have it than not need it, but it's like on a net, most people don't have the gun, so nothing really happens in the regions where I was coming from. Now, I'm not in the streets of, Compton or some shit, or like in deep South Chicago.
Look up the percentage of Americans that own a gun illegally, if you would.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's really high. I'm blanking on the number. And sorry to go down this rabbit hole. Like we are covering the shooting in the events, but it's important to discuss, guys, because like this is just an absent element for them over there.
I took the blue pill.
Yeah, I took the blue pill, bro.
Look, I'm conservative, but I can't go all the way.
Massive firearm. You need a.
There's no reliable statistic, but
There's no reliable statistic. I think that there is.
Because it's illegal. Like, how would you determine?
Yeah,
It's, you got to self-report.
That's true.
that.
That's very true. It's got to be out there somewhere though. But do you want to get
Let's
off
go
this?
back.
Wanna,
Let's go back to the video.
All right. So this is the video of the hero, the man that stopped the carnage for at least a brief period of time, got the guy off balance or whatnot. Here's what I don't understand, right? So we're about to play the video. The guy kind of gets the guy from behind and like wrestles the rifle away from him. And then, like, I guess if you don't know, like, if he did try to fire, obviously the video is grainy. We can't see if his finger tries to pull the trigger or not. Maybe he doesn't understand that he has to bring the bolt back and then bring it forward to chamber another round so that he's ready to fire. We don't know. But ultimately, like, bonk the guy on the head with the thing, right? Like, fucking smack him in the head with the giant gun. Like, knock him out or do whatever you're going to do with them.
Right.
But he's, look, and I get it. Like, he's shocked. He's standing there. He's a hero and he's brave for doing what he did. I see a lot of like, you know, like Americans wouldn't act like this. I will like, oh hell no, like you gonna die.
Yeah.
Like we'll go to the video now. We'll present the video.
So is that just a dead person laying there?
I think so. Here he comes. He takes a gun.
He's lucky he didn't have a handgun there. And what's the lady doing?
Girls will always get in the middle of a fight and try to make it like 10 times worse of a situation.
God, then you got to protect her, bro.
Yeah, no, dude, it's weird. And I love women and I respect women infinitely. I really
You're a
do.
misogynist.
No,
You're a
really
woman
not.
hater.
I'm really not, but like there is something magical about like two dudes at a bar will be about to like scrap. And the girl will come in and be like, "That's my boyfriend."
Yeah, it makes it.
It makes
And
you, like,
she needs
crazy.
to be protected at that point.
Yeah. Well, just heightens tensions, right?
Okay, so I think this is where he backs up and he probably runs back to the other.
Okay, so this is the other side of that footage that we first
I
saw.
guarantee you that guy doesn't know how to use the gun.
No. But hey, you know what? Fucking hero, man. Shout out to this guy.
He's lucky he didn't get shot by the other dude.
Well, bro's like taking a break. He's like taking a fucking break up against the wall. He's like, man,
Would you have shot him there?
oh yeah. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know what he has in that bag.
And the guy, look at the guy throwing a flip flop.
You can't make this stuff up, folks. And like this is what I'm saying. A little fucking revolver in your pocket, you just take that and you just fucking ice that guy right there, and then it's over. And a little grandma can do that. It doesn't take and this is like the chauvinistic like myth that's actually told by the left as opposing civilian gun ownership. They go, it's these misogynistic evil white males that want the gun,
right?
Because they want to walk around and they know that they have it. No, it's about like the little Asian lady store clerk being armed, right? It's about the little like Uber driver being able to protect himself. Like at the end of the day, it applies to everyone that's a citizen here. And like it is your right to defend yourself against a violent threat. And here, like they're like, well, do we save the guy? Like,
well, here's a thing: only 3 to 4% of Australians own a weapon.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So, like, you definitely know this guy has no idea what he's doing. Granny's like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And he's part of that 3%.
And don't you see how the Second Amendment strengthens our nation by having a more prepared populace, as opposed to like we talk about military intervention, especially. You see how that's an advantage to have a civilian population that has gun knowledge. That's a big deal.
But yeah, it's the gun knowledge that I agree with on, like just being educated on it. But I don't know. I really don't know about this.
You want to ban all the guns?
No, it's not banning. It's already happening. And if the people who already have them illegally have them, then there's no way to confiscate all the weapons possible.
When you say it's already happening, you're not talking about gun control, are you?
No. I'm talking about people already acquiring guns, whether they want to.
Okay,
so it doesn't matter for me to try to make the argument of being like, oh, well, we should just take all the guns. Well, how are you going to get all the illegal ones?
But you feel for them that it's overall a better solution for them to be disarmed because
they don't have the same problems.
I don't agree, but I understand your point. I think the audience agrees with me on that, to be honest. But I mean, I am always right.
Hey,
I am always correct.
Groiper says I'm blue pill tonight, so you know.
But hey, I get it. It's a difference of background, man. But it's like it's a deprivation of your civil liberty to not have it. Like I'm not gonna let someone mug me like they're gonna die. Like that's just what's gonna happen. And because it's your life is forfeit when you engage in violent crime.
But you know what they probably do in Australia?
give the person a hug.
No,
and
they
a social worker.
probably duke it out with some fist, and no one dies at that point.
And maybe not. Definitely not in the UK, you know. And like Australia, it seems to be a more peaceful land.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time,
I guess it really just depends on the population
yeah,
and
they're
how
a
they've
country
grown.
of like 24 million. So it's like it's like one of our states or something.
Yeah, it's a smaller population.
It's not that big.
Keep going with this guy.
For sure. So yeah, this is the other half.
Yeah,
I lost my guns in a boating accident.
took 1,200 milligrams of extra strength. Do you see? I told you he went back up the stairs, right?
Yeah.
After he had his gun taken.
That's freaky, man. Boom.
How come he didn't shoot the guy taking the gun from him? Like, that could have been so bad for him.
You might have missed it. It's a high stress situation. He's shooting at other people he sees. He's like, oh, I got to kill that one. And ultimately, like, I don't care how much training you do, especially in the military, like your first time like actively firing on people, it's got to be crazy, right? Yeah. Like you're actually killing people like, for the first time.
100%.
And it's not like, to our knowledge, they went out and did practice runs. Like maybe he killed a bunny rabbit by strangling it, and he's like, I am ready now. I could do it. But this is a completely different situation than killing like any like animal or like any simulation of like a war game could be. Yep. You're out there with a gun, like gunning down innocent people.
Yeah.
So like you can't prepare yourself for that, and he probably just made a mistake. Now I wonder what the Australian police are armed with, and I think that would be interesting to look at. But we have a lot we need to get into.
Let's cover the guy itself, because this is the interesting thing, right? The fact that he has the Islamic background. He's Pakistani. And by the way,
I'm gonna go through some of the videos.
Oh, yes. No, let's cover this real quick.
Yeah. So look how professional this is, and like people, I've heard them criticize the video or whatnot. He's very fast. He seems to be relatively accurate, and he's very calm. That's the number one thing I take away from this.
Look at him.
Look
how quick that is. It's insane.
Boom. And it looks to be a long cartridge. It's definitely not 223. It's definitely something bigger than that. I'm not sure exactly.
First day of Hanukkah is exactly what they were celebrating, Stephen. You are correct about that. This was specific, and it was timing, and they knew exactly what they were doing in this scenario. It was clear. It was clearly a targeted Semitic attack.
Well, talk about the guy. I'm going to go through just a couple. We got a couple of great clips to show, but I'll just go ahead and show a couple more.
No, just go ahead and show it.
Still images of the guy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we went over the fact that he attended these Islamic schools, which teach the practice that's in the Quran. Now, we did do the deeper dive on it, and we'll cover this specifically in a moment here about what type of practice that they actually teach, and some of the things that are in the Quran and what Muhammad believes,
and some AI bias,
and some AI bias. That was the thing that was a shocker to me.
Wasn't that nutty?
I'm glad that you knew some of this information already before the AI actually spit it out, and it was Grok.
Grok tried to gaslight us and brainwash us into thinking he's supposed to be else.
He's supposed to be the man of the people, right?
Yeah, Mecca Hitler no more.
Yeah,
I see.
He's not unhinged.
Mecca Muhammad.
Insane. He's a nice guy. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, it said, and we'll get into this later. I'm not to just throw it out here. It's too tantalizing. We'll go over the specifics. It says Islam means peace, and it's like it's good, it's nice, it's a
and Rex is like, what
the friendly Muhammad, or like whatever it says, and I just go, well, Islam means submission. Number one, that's false. And then we go to the dictionary, and I'm right.
And then he's right. Yeah.
But it's just get into the guy, because he had very specific, upbringing in Muslim tradition, and we get into a little bit of the differences of Sunni, Shia, Salafi. And when you talk to the AI about these different sects and groups, it'll tell you, especially about like the radical Salafi group, it'll say, oh, it's peaceful, and the vast majority, 99% of them are peaceful.
Are you talking about the one we had earlier?
And it's wonderful, and it's great. Well, let me finish really quick. And then it goes, oh yeah, 1%, that's ISIS and Al Qaeda. Both of them believe in this specific form of fundamentalist Islam.
Insane.
But it's like, oh, it's all good. It's just all the terrorist groups. This is what they practice. But the vast majority of people, it's fine. And we'll get into the point even more of just saying, like, yeah, you can say vast majority peaceful, but if you have like 2 billion people,
he did, yeah.
If you have 2 billion people even having a few percentages is like world ending.
It is.
Basically. You can't do it. It doesn't work that way.
100%.
And like people are people and people are human beings and people deserve respect, and people ultimately, like, no one has a right to tell other people how their children should live or how they should raise their kids or live their life or whatever. But when it comes down to it, this is the religion that actually is like, yeah, we do have a say in this. You pay us tax to stay alive, and that's only if you're a Muslim or Christian.
And it's a holy war, essentially.
Yeah, it's a holy war. It's submission, right?
Yes.
To reach Islam. They want it's called the Ummah.
And just to highlight the point that you were saying before, with the majority, because this is the bias, the availability bias, like we were talking of before, even if a majority are not committing the crimes, like he said, because of the proportion of it, and the fact that it's enough people that it's causing a significant issue, it has to be addressed. It has to be something that we go out and not condone these types of activities, because when you have it on, and this is why you see these events, and this is why a lot of these countries are scared to have the overtake of this particular religion. They don't say the same, like, okay, Jewish people and Judaism gets some shit, but people aren't afraid of like Jewish people going out and committing like mass murder, because the Torah doesn't. The Torah. No, we're not talking about Gaza.
We're not talking about the country of Israel.
We're talking. Thank you.
I understand.
Not the country of Israel.
I get your point. I get your point.
It is specific around there are Jewish people everywhere. The Torah does not sit there and say go kill anybody who doesn't support.
And ultimately, like the Jewish holy writings, excluding like the modernist stuff, like the Kabbalah and like the Talmud and stuff like that, which is essentially just rabbis arguing with each other, and some of it is like really whack and crazy and evil. But like the fundamentalist Jewish doctrine that most Jewish people living in the West subscribe to is one of like, you're not allowed to martyr yourself.
Yes.
And it's the same with the Christians, right? Like a Christian cannot martyr themselves. A Christian has to be like, you have to be told, hey, renounce your faith. Like the Romans would say, we're going to put you in the Colosseum and the lion's going to eat you. And then you say no. And then you become a martyr that way. Becoming a martyr in Islam is fighting the jihad, is fighting for the faith.
And since we're on the topic, let's literally cover this right now.
Okay, we got it right here.
This is so the whole concept of the guy's background and why we're talking about this in the first place.
I can scroll. You just want me to
it's literally because the school that he goes to has Islamic teachings, and they teach them specifically about the teachings of the Quran. And so the whole issue is I'm not sitting here trying to blanket and be like, oh, well, all the people who go to this school are now becoming murderers, but it definitely has an impact when you read things. And specifically, it was the Sunni, right? Is that what it said?
Yes, Sunni, and then specifically Salafi. And what they are is they're radical anthropomorphists, right? So Allah has 95 aspects. And like those are things like Allah's love and Allah's hate and blah, 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 blah. But then nothing else is uncreated other than Allah. And that's why Allah is unlike all of creation that's in the Quran, and Allah has no sons. And that's why they consider Christianity to be polytheism, right? Is because they're saying, okay, you believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Therefore, you're saying Allah has a son and is like something in creation. Therefore, you are a kafir. I believe is the term.
Well, and the whole aspect of why the Quran is so controversial is because of like the school does teach the classical teachings, and some of these classical scholars, they're going to they interpret these as legal guidance for how the people should live their lives and what they should do. And like Rex is talking about, there are literally, just like you said, Al-Qaeda and these other groups literally take those as their Bible. And so read some of these things that are in here, because I was like, wow, this is what's being taught, and I don't see this anywhere in the Bible.
Okay, yeah, I'm scrolling up, and I'm like, where's a good place to start? A lot of it's wild.
Just go to the beginning real quick.
All right. So, and
violence and warfare verses.
Will you pull up 929 on your computer really quick?
Yeah.
Will you read that, because that one's really key. All right, but I'll go ahead and start. All right, 1, violence and warfare verses. Why controversial? Some verses command fighting, including against non-believers under certain conditions. Quran 9:5, the sword verse, then kill the polytheists wherever you find them, referring to also Christians, but not Jews there. Then 929, fighting people of the book. That means Jews and Christians.
And I'll read that for
until
you guys
they pay
now.
jizya. And what jizya is it is the money that you pay in exchange for your life.
A
It is
tax
blood money.
imposed on non-Muslims under Islamic rule is what it's called.
Yes.
So the
They
common
take
English,
that in place of killing you.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
and the common English of what that 929 interprets: fight for those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, or who would not consider unlawful that Allah and his messengers have made unlawful, and do not adopt the religion of truth from those who are given the scripture until they give into, what did you say that word is?
The jizya.
The jizya willingly, and they are humbled. And then
Right.
the key terms of
Brought
what they're
to
talking
submission.
about is fighting. They're talking about being humbled. And so that is exactly what you're talking
It means
about.
being conquered.
Conquered,
And then I like the AI is like, I have to be nice to all religions.
Show it.
And
show it.
ChatGPT isn't even as bad as Grok.
No.
Like, I have issues with that. But we went to Grok thinking that we would get like a pretty like uncensored take, and then it's the most neutered one ever. I'm gonna pull it
Second
up right here.
To the last, to the right.
Oof. Okay. All right, check this out, guys. All right, what the Quran and Prophet Muhammad really teach, classical Sunni view. Big ideas: be kind, honest, help poor people, forgive others, and make peace. Prophet Muhammad, who is he? A gentle leader 1400 years ago who taught one God, Allah, sharing, controlling anger, and treating everyone fairly. Yeah, treating all the Muslims fairly under his weird, sick Sharia law system, and then making everyone else who's not a Muslim and doesn't submit pay the blood tax to stay alive.
Insane.
It's beyond.
Be kind to
anything.
people who aren't fighting you.
Yeah. Anyway, when they give up, be nice. This is not compatible with the West. This theology is not acceptable, and it's not something where you could go to like a Jewish text where it's talking about like the siege of Jericho like 3,000 years ago, right? Or it's not Christianity where you can go, this Revelation description is crazy. Ultimately, it's saying that those things are bad and shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and here's the nuance. Like, I'm not saying that the Bible and these and Christianity and these other religions haven't created a certain violence around the religion itself. It's just not in the day-to-day practice. Like, people go and fight for a particular reason around a specific issue, and it's not the agenda of the day-to-day for you to go out and just make sure that you're going to go and kill people who aren't practicing. Because imagine if Christians did that, which is the largest religion in the world, right?
Right.
It's the largest religion in the world. And imagine all the Christians, if you don't practice any other religion, because Christians, I feel like, are very tolerant of other religions and in the preachings. You go to church.
This is true.
And you're not a believer in church. They say, hey, do you want to get baptized? Not pay this tax. I'm going to put a gun to your head.
The modern, there has not been compelled Christian faith for hundreds of years, right? And like they usually in those cases, they wouldn't even do that, right? Whereas Islam, the whole thing is like forced compulsion, right? Because how can you force someone to renounce their sins and come to God? You can't do that, but you can force someone to bow to this one entity like Allah. And ultimately, I think the Quran says, and I look this up, fact check me right now. Maybe I'll get things off screen for a second. I'll try to look it up too.
What do you say?
I think we are all slaves of Allah, actually. Are we slaves of Allah? I think that's in there. I'm not sure what the AI will say. Maybe the AI will say, no, it means friend, actually. But
is there a... It says in Islam, yes, humans are described as slaves or servants. Described as servants of Allah.
Yeah, but the word translates to slave, I believe. See, it says yes.
It says yes, but it says he wants to clarify and be trying to. He says, but not slaves in the modern.
For the verse,
he said in the modern Chetil sense, and that means modern, but that didn't mean that it wasn't before.
Ask for the verse that comes from.
Okay. Can you go back to the
yes
GPT and let's read the rest of what's being practiced in the Quran, because this is really important
for sure. Yeah, no, you're right. So we went over that. Kill the unbelievers, strike terror into them, and kill the people of the book until they pay the blood tax. Treatment of non-Muslims. Muslims are considered superior in governance. Non-Muslims may live under Islamic rule, but not as equals. Conversion away from Islam is treated harshly in later law. They really don't like it. It's called apostate.
Mm-hmm.
That's called being an apostate when you leave. Relevant verses: Quran 3:100. Muslims described as the best nation. Quran 9:29. Jizya and subjugation. We've gone over that. And then Quran 98:6, unbelievers described as the worst of creatures. See, it's not very the thing I like about Christianity and the Old Testament as well, because it's the Beatitudes, it's all the same stuff. Or theophanies, excuse me, not Beatitudes. Man is created in the image of God, and there's something holy about man. And man is not like disgusting creature, pig, but like anyone who does not follow the supreme entity that this this guy declared in like the late 5th century.
Yep.
Anyone who does not follow this entity is like an animal or the worst of creatures. That means like worse than like a dung beetle or something, right? And I don't like that, man. And that's just me, my opinion on that, but I don't like that.
So you already talked about the leaving of Islam, right?
And then classical Islamic law, like you're saying here, treats apostasy as treason, right? So you leave, you gonna die.
Yeah.
Like
we don't tolerate that.
Yeah, we don't tolerate that. Ooh, women's rights. That's always, you know, it's funny when you see people that are like super left wing. I like to watch people like do dissidents and whatnot, but like if you back this at all, like I have 3 sisters. Like seriously, like not to any of those people, but to anyone that like wants my sister to have to wear like a trash bag to go outside, like genuinely fuck you.
That's a hot take.
Like no, it's not a hot take at all. Like you don't get to tell people to wear trash bags. Like you don't have a right to do it. It's not imposed on you by your God.
The word
or
trash
whatever.
bag.
Well, it is. It's a polyester full body covering.
Yeah, like
what else?
I don't like the fact that like it's a bajillion degrees and you're making somebody dress up head to toe.
Right.
And you know, there was a movement where they they've killed women that tried to like make a movement against wearing these things and covering up their body.
Women receive half of a man's share. 2 women equal 1 man in testimony. He raped me. He raped me. Oh, I did not do it. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise I didn't do it. Well, there's one of you and there's one of you. And we know how the law works here, lady. Like that's beyond anything.
Beyond
marriage. Men can have up to 4 wives. And like Andrew Tate loves that, but I can see how that would be very predatory, right? Like that women may not have multiple husbands. Of course, there's no equality there, no feminism there. Ooh,
well, and
discipline. Quran 434 permits striking a wife.
That's crazy. So imagine how many women get beat
right
behind closed doors or even in public.
Openly.
Well, and that's the problem.
I have a great anecdote. I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm sorry. So I have cousin, really like uncle, someone that I'm related to, lives out in East Texas over on the land that we have over there around that area. And he is like a 30-year military veteran. He's an incredible badass. I'm very proud to be related to him. But he told me all about his time, or a lot about his time, not all about it, but a lot about his time over there in the Middle East, right? Like being a part of Desert Storm and stuff like that. And he said that one of his first experiences over there in the Middle East, just like culture shock moment, I think that's what I asked him, is like, when did you have a culture shock? Was when he was on the street just as a young, like, you know, like good looking American soldier. And then he sees a woman across the street and she like looks up at him or something, or like maybe waves, just some brief gesture. I forget what he said. And he made the mistake of waving back.
Oh,
and hubby comes in with the fucking pipe and just starts going to work.
Damn.
Because you don't do that shit in my house, bitch. Like that's what they believe. And that's the religion of peace. Right. And that's what we all have to tolerate and accept. And it's good. And it's coming to a place near you. And that's the thing of like, it is perfectly designed to make you angry. But like, this is a violation of everything we believe here in the West. Right. Like to even think that just looking at a woman on the street and raising your hand, and she raises her hand just to say hi. And then the husband comes in with the fucking pipe and just gets to work.
And here's the thing. The reason why I've had so many conversations with people and they're like, well, why can't you just allow, like, if Muslim people just want to live in a specific place? I'm not sitting here targeting everybody. It's specifically it's not the modern ones that aren't religious and have nothing to do with this. Unfortunately, there's a large population that do follow this, right? It's not all of them, but it's specifically like there's Christian Muslims. I'm not lumping those people.
Wait, what?
There are Christian Muslims.
That doesn't work. Like all Muslims believe in Jesus as a prophet, but they don't believe in him as God, because that's not Muslim.
But
It's monotheism.
I'm just saying, like, in general, there are people who are in the Middle East,
Like Arab Christians.
Arab Christians,
Yeah,
is what I
Arab
meant to say.
Christians. Yeah,
Not the religion, but
Arab Christians.
what I'm saying is, as far as the ethnicity, I'm kind of
I
accidentally combining those two.
I understand. I just want to make that point.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, combining the whole concept of, look, there's a reason why there are countries and there that literally ban Islam, right? If you go to China, you cannot.
No.
you-
The concentration camp. They have the Uyghur
But
Muslims.
I'm telling you, you can do the soft version of Islam and practice the things, but they don't allow you to do like 90% of the stuff that's in this book because they understand the danger behind it.
Well, at the end of the day, you end up like Britain right now is in a transitional phase, and large parts of Europe. I mean, they did this before. The Moors conquered Spain and ruled for hundreds of years. So, like, this will probably just happen. Like, it's happened before in history. It's not a strange historical event without precedent. The British are a little less far along because they have a bigger population. It's less skewed, but places like France and Germany, like in 50 years, like you're gonna see like Islamic government, and like that's coming.
Well, I mean, Britain's already having issues with that, like with their major politicians that are being consumed by the Muslim. Now,
and my point with that is that in Britain already they have places where the call to prayer, it's 5 times a day. It's loud as hell. Everyone gets out and prays on the street. You can't walk in between them or do anything. That is an act of that's taking over.
Mm-hmm.
That's taking possession of the area and going, you submit to us being in your space, right?
Yeah.
The shared public space is our space now. We're sharing it with you. And then you go down a couple decades or not even maybe that, and you're paying them money to live. And it's just like, oh, it's the new property tax. And, it's really good because, ever since our community came under indigenous leadership, or they'll probably call it something like that, literally. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it'll be the thing that you do, and it makes sure our community remains strong, and it's a good thing. Like, and that's why it's the slow
degradation. What happens? You give it an inch, and then they take the mile.
This is why I'm proud of America, because as fat and retarded as we are, this never will fly.
Actually, in Dallas, I didn't tell you this story, but in Dallas,
I saw.
No, not the protest, but in Dallas, they started trying to. There are people that are Islamic that were trying to get their own special like zones where they could create their own like. Basically like not villages, but like their own ecosystem.
Communities. No, I'm familiar.
And Abbott shut that shit down.
Yeah.
They weren't going to allow people to have like the special, Muslim economic zone.
Well, it violates everyone's religious freedom. That's the problem with their system, is ultimately a Christian practicing Christianity in whatever form you want to pick. That Christian is not. He's not violating someone else's rights to worship his God if he's doing his thing. The same with like a Buddhist or a Hindi or whatever. When the Muslim comes in, the Muslim says, "Oh yeah, well, if you're in this community, you're going to contribute to the mosque."
Yes,
and you don't get a choice.
So I don't want to bring the Israel topic up, but I have to bring this up.
We love talking about Israel.
Well, why do we always got to talk about Israel?
Yeah.
We're always talking about Israel. But here's the thing. With that being said, I said this to you a long time ago, and do you remember this conversation where I was like, the tolerance doesn't go both ways, in which, like, if you were to give some of these places, like, like the Hezbollah,
I know the point you're making,
or some of them, because they have this preaching and this laws and everything that happened in Gaza.
I don't think Hezbollah believes in this.
Well,
go ahead.
Specifically, maybe
the radical
Muslims, specifically in Gaza, that hold the majority. They practice this level, and their doctrine literally says we will eradicate anyone for this particular reason that we read in the Quran. And the only thing is, they just don't have the firepower to eradicate all of Israel and their neighbors. Otherwise, they would.
This is where your pro-Israel argument comes in, and I understand it. My argument is that wasn't happening before, when it was a thriving city with great infrastructure and the people were functioning, getting along. They weren't living under Sharia law. The reason why they're living under what they're living through now is because in a time of war, when you're invaded and everyone dies, people become more radical. So
yeah, I mean, look, it's
not legitimate.
Here's the thing. I always blame the whole mess of this negative feedback loop between Israel and Palestine because of the British, right? Because of the fact that they decided they're going to go in there, arbitrarily promise this land to one side, and then also say, we're going to promise it to this other side at the same time, and we're just going to make a deal that works for us because we're tired of occupying this region, and we just going to let you guys do it. And they just withdraw and let them fight it out. And that's what ended up happening. All I am saying is, irrespective of how that negative feedback loop started, in the circumstance, one group wronged the other. They felt this way specifically. You're never going to get each other's sides to agree.
I would say both groups are wrong ultimately. And this is the thing that we talk about all the time on the show, like Russia, Ukraine. People want to be like, oh, the hero Zelensky, the noble lion fighting the evil Putin. And it's just like, well, both of them are trying to preserve and work for their own interests, right? And like, it doesn't have anything to do with like being good or evil. And when you make it like that, and you declare someone good and you declare another person evil, it actually makes the person that you declare to be good, in fact, evil, and it kind of reverses it for the other person, because at that point, those terms don't mean anything anymore when they're both doing the same kinds of crimes and violent actions and actions against their people. When I would say, ultimately, that's not being gracious enough. Zelensky's an evil monster, and I hate him.
Right?
I can't even be neutral. Well, I try,
but in this circumstance,
but I get it. They're both fighting for their
interests. But then specifically surrounding the issue of Hamas and what's happening. Part of it, I don't want to sit here and defend the mass killings that have happened in Gaza, but one of the biggest issues of why they're going to go there is because they know that the moment they just completely let the reins loose, because these people believe like these people are evil, I'm going to go after them. They have to. They're trying to. It's such a complicated issue.
I would say,
but it does come down to a problem with how Islam teaches that. Now, if you didn't have Hamas in control, you had the Muslims that aren't practicing this shit, then that's a different story. And I could see that two-state solution in which it would work for the specific Palestinians that actually want to live there in peace.
We don't agree on this, but I hear it's a lot. It's logical. It's logical, and I get what you're saying. I just think at the end of the day, all this stuff is done by design, because ultimately the rich, powerful people, they don't care about the people on the bottom getting killed. And ultimately, like, a terror attack on the Jewish population, although horrible and abominable and despicable and should be roundly condemned, at the end of the day, like, it's just like anti-Semitism, everything's anti-Semitism. Look how we were just killed, anti-Semitism. So it serves them to live in a more violent world. And talk about the elites, the people in the government, in positions of power. It serves them to have a chaotic, violent, and angrier world. As Klaus Schwab described.
You got to have the enemy to have the control.
Right.
I agree with you on those particular points. Now, I don't like where, there are specific people that are in power that try to say, well, any criticism ends up being anti-Semitic. That don't hit me with that bullshit. But the circumstances like this, where a guy goes to a Hanukkah event, goes and targets specifically on the first day,
he's like shark fiending for Jewish blood,
and it is kind of dangerous sometimes when you let anger be unchecked, specifically around a narrative. Now, I don't believe in them going around doing the whole censorship where they're on stage trying to like do the Ted Cruz missile and be like, okay, well, this is why you should bow down to Israel and those types of things. But I do think that you have to have a certain threshold at which you don't give these radical people the platform to go out there and have the justification to prove why we want to attack these people in the first place and why we should kill these people, because you enfranchise those. And when you leave the reins loose, situations like this can happen. And it doesn't mean.
Well, I mean, look, here's my thing is like, it's the same thing with all these modern like deaths, assassinations, the Kirk thing, whatever. It's just like, oh, like we fucked up, basically. Like, oops, like our bad. Like the government let someone go, or a person never gets like charged when they're under suspicion, or a person that's been looked at half a dozen times goes out and commits like the worst possible act. And I just look at it and I'm like, if you put billions of dollars into building a system to like stop these kind of events from happening, you would think that there would be a much higher success rate. And I get like you giving credit, and I agree a lot of credit has to be given to law enforcement because they do stop a lot of stuff that we don't see, right? But a place like this where you're under mass surveillance and the dad and the son are both under suspicion, right? Or they were before, or is it just the son?
They haven't reported the exact nuances of what's happened, which is why I don't want to speculate too much on it.
Their control grid is so crazy. They know if the dude is the son of a guy that has the gun permit.
But it is a hierarchy though. So here's the thing: when you talk about these organizations, they have a limited manpower,
right?
And then also you don't have like the ability to go into every person's mind. So when a person starts acting normal for a long period of time, they're gonna go focus on the guy that's acting crazy too. And it's like you're not always going to sit there and watch an eye on the guy who's like just going to a normal cricket game, having fun, enjoying because he's not sitting there looking up bombs and shit. You're going to go to the guy who's like literally has just came back from Iran, and you're going to keep eyes on him. And you only have but so many eyes to keep track of. So you're just going to go and focus on these particular people, and those are your priority ones.
Yeah.
And then you have to rely on technology and AI, which is why they're trying to have Palantir come in to help offset
it reads
the data.
Your brain. It is so good.
But it's designed to take the data of the mass data that they have from like where they can listen to you on your ear pods, and they can listen to your microphone on your Alexa, and take the information, because there's so much information they just don't know how to shift with it. But I digress. That's what I'm just saying.
No, you're good. That's an excellent point. I don't want to miss all this stuff because we have a lot of juicy info for tonight. Number 5, slavery and concubinage. I think I'm saying that word right. Why controversial? I don't know. You're not supposed to own other people. It's not a good thing to do. The Quran permits slavery rather than abolishing it. Oh, and sexual relations with female slaves are allowed. That's a real cheat code. You don't even have to marry them. You can just own a human being and use them for sex.
Yeah, that's insane.
Captives of war could be enslaved. While freeing slaves is encouraged, the institution itself is not banned. Punishments. Why controversial? You steal something, we're going to cut off your hand. This is a little talked about one, but that's pretty serious, right? You know, Johnny was 16. Johnny stole a bike from the store. Johnny got his hand cut off.
Hey, there's a reason why Dubai is super
safe. It's true. You can leave your wallet on the street.
You can walk around with the Rolex, like Andrew Tate says. He wears his most expensive watches when he's in the Middle East.
Adultery, lashes. Ooh, they whip you. Damn, dude. They'll get you. It's like with a cane, I think. That's what a lash is. Combined with the hadith, stoning, crucifixion, execution, and the hadith is close commentary by imams and references to the time of Muhammad. And it's not the Quran in sense of like it's binding authority, but it is considered to be like the closest thing to being legitimate. Basically, it's like the writings of like the early church fathers, basically, in like Orthodox Christianity. Supremacy of Islam. Islam is presented as the final and only acceptable religion, meant to supersede all others. I mean, that's common in a lot of different ones. I'm not gonna give them too much on that. I disagree with it, of course, but they're trying to win. You know, the game is
the worst creatures thing here. Yep.
Yeah. So like we talked about this a little bit. I'm not even sure if we were on air when we talked about it, or yes, we were. We were just talking about it. Like if people are not divine or created in the image of God, or don't have like this worth, right, then they're the worst of creatures unless they believe in the deity that Muhammad made up in the 5th century. You're worse than a slug, you're worse than a dung beetle, you're worse than a fire ant, you're worse than like a dust mite if you do not believe in the Muslim monotheistic God, right? So that language isn't used in Christianity. It's not even used in like the Old Testament, where there is harsher language used in all kinds of wars being declared all the time, of course. But the difference is the Old Testament occurred 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. This is like way after 500 AD, getting into 600 AD. So this is at a time where the Roman Empire has already fallen. This is at a time where Christianity is already widespread. And this religion comes along and it declares all these things about itself being the best and everyone must submit, and really going back to real primitive practices, because it's written as a doctrine of war and conquest, right? Like if you practice this religion, you go into a new area, you infiltrate the area, you become the majority population in that area, and then you make everyone pay you the tax, or you kill them, or you just go and invade anyway. And like that's how it was practiced. I mean, they took over Spain for like 400 years and just lived there.
Well, in general, if you look at the Prophet Muhammad and his background, he led dozens of raids and battles and approved killing of enemies during war, which there are people who were supporters that say it's
but I thought he was a gentle leader. I thought he, whoa, you telling me he led attacks? When did Jesus strap on the AK and go out there? Like seriously,
you're right. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah. That is a good point.
He turned over some tables, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Some of these controversial things about him is this Jewish tribe that was accused of treason. He had men executed. He had the women and children enslaved. Carried out the tribal law at the time, and then also some of the other things that are
That's called
controversial.
being nice.
Mhm.
It's cultural enrichment.
Gentle giant. So another thing, the most thing that I had the problem with is this: he married a woman called Aisha.
Right.
She was 6 during the marriage contract, and she was consummated at 9.
Really?
You want to tell people what consummated is, man?
Well, that means sexual relations. So he waited to engage in monstrous pedophilic acts with this young girl, just for 3 years, because that's right, and that's what he deemed to be proper, because he's the Prophet Muhammad. Police be upon him is what I say. People say peace be upon him. I say police because he's a pedophile and should be arrested for his sex crimes. But he owned this girl. And he had sex with her. Obviously, he owned her, because even if it's a free marriage or whatever, a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old could never consent. And I have an 8-year-old sister. That is monstrous. So we're allowed to say fuck you. This is barbaric, pig shit. Ultimately, and they say pigs are haram. I say you behave like pigs if you worship or pay reverence to a man that engaged in these kinds of actions. It's not okay. It's not okay to rape little girls.
Yep.
And I'm just glad we have X and Rumble and YouTube to say stuff like this. But this is a very rational, simple calculation. This isn't compatible with what you were taught, right?
No, and that was the thing that I was okay, where this all layers out. And you can sit there and be okay, whatever. I always say the reason why I'm not 100% religious in certain aspects is depending on where you live is what you follow, right? And everybody says you are wrong about this. This is the truth. You're wrong about this. This is,
and you have a hard time sorting through.
Exactly, because who knows to say who goes to say if I wasn't born in China, they think Christianity is dumb and these things about Jesus. But I digress on those things. I'm just saying in general. One thing I do know, without going into specifics about being with a 6-year-old, not okay.
Right.
Being with a 9-year-old, not okay.
Not acceptable.
Raping people and deciding that you want to just go kill people
taking
because they're not
slaves and then raping them. Yeah.
Not okay.
Not okay.
And so here's the thing. I look at just if I take things objectively and I just look at, okay, well, what was the religion built off of? Christianity and Jesus. I grew up Christian. My grandma was a pastor. I don't remember Jesus marrying a 6-year-old.
Right.
I remember him.
You remember Jesus telling people to murder people?
Nope.
Or to fight them?
I remember him calling for peace. I remember him going in, trying to heal the sick, heal the wounded.
Right. And when the Romans come for Jesus, when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane and Judas has betrayed him, Peter is there, and Peter uses his sword and he slices off one of the guard's ears. And Jesus says, put away your sword. And he heals the man on the spot.
Yep.
And Jesus is someone, this is why the symbol of the cross is so powerful. That was the scariest symbol for hundreds and hundreds of years. Romans were like, look, if you disobey us, we're going to put you up on a giant piece of wood with your arms stretched out. And you're going to be nailed to it. And we're going to stab you and let you bleed out and die. And everyone's going to come.
Now, here's the thing. Romans practice their own theology of what they believe, but even in their practice,
what I'm saying is the foundation of these two religions could not be more diametrically opposed. You have one religion where the person you're supposed to emulate by being a Christian, which means the little Christ, you're supposed to be like Jesus. No, there is no greater love than to lay one's life down for one's friends. And that's what Jesus says, and that's what he does. And Jesus, God, calls us his friends. Versus in this, you're a slave. If you don't believe in me, you're the worst of all creatures. We will conquer you and make you pay. Muhammad is they say Muhammad's better than Jesus. But they acknowledge that Jesus is divine and Muhammad is not divine. So where does that come from? Clearly, it's been written in by someone named Muhammad.
and then also just think about it this: even if I don't go the Christianity and the Judaism route, just look at Hinduism. If I look at Hindus and I look at the practice of what they do,
that's more polytheistic.
They have polytheistic, but what they do is they have the worship of the specific things. They have a god of money where they worship the importance of financial and being smart with money and those types of things. They have a god of wisdom where they worship that being gathering knowledge is super important, and they don't want it. And
it sounds like Egypt and Rome to me.
Well, and here's the thing, but
And a lot of those Eastern religions, like they'll have an ancestral spirit or something that like protects the house, and like that goes back to Norse tradition, that goes back to Celtic tradition. Like there's a lot of these common threads through religion. None of them are like, okay, blueprint to take over, conquer. Like we're moving in, you pay the tax, you gonna die. Like this is very clearly done for one specific purpose. And if someone tells you something like they go, we're the religion of peace, that's like almost scarier than being we're the religion of war.
Yeah.
It's like it's an inherent deception. And look up, it's taqiyya. It's the process of you're allowed to lie in Islam if it furthers the jihad. You look up that it's Tiqya, I believe, or maybe IA.
Ti what? Takia? I'll just look up.
TAQY. I don't know. Yeah, taqiyya. Maybe someone in the chat can spell it. Yeah, like I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's Tiqiyya, and it is a classic concept that allows a Muslim to conceal their faith under threat of persecution.
This is what the AI says, and the AI also calls Muhammad the gentle leader. So like I like a gentle leader who
I'll look up the
who
real
led dozens of raids and killed thousands and thousands of people. Yeah,
the allowance of, well, it is the faith. Okay, even other sources, even other sources are confirming.
Well, what is the faith? The faith is to conquer.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
like
yeah.
That's the.
But just to clarify, it's not like it's saying if you are in danger or harm from being Muslim, that's what they're talking about. Not necessarily go around lie to people.
It's concealing their intentions because they know if their intentions were revealed that they would be ostracized for having these fundamentalist positions. When in fact they hold them, it's deception, right? And like this is the problem: is this doesn't exist in any other religion. Like, this is unique to Islam. And yet this is the one. It's just really weird. They call it
that's spreading the most,
and they call it the Red Green Alliance because it is interesting. And I'm a pro-Palestine person, and I've made that very clear on the broadcast. And me and Tim disagree on a wide number of things on that perspective, but there is a definite, really weird factor. And I hear the pro-Israel people say this all the time. I hear my dad say it all the time. Quite honestly, it's true. Why do the people that have like the pride flag and like the furry outfit? I've seen this. They're like the most pro like Muslim immigration, the most pro like I get being pro Palestine, I really do, but like you're wearing like furry boots and you have a pride flag and you're calling for a global intifada. Well, like it,
you know why?
It's fucking crazy.
The reason why is first reason. There's ignorance.
They'll throw you off a fucking roof.
They don't read
immediately.
They haven't read this version. They don't know what's in the Quran. They don't know about these radical practices and what they're preaching for. First of all, they step foot in fucking Gaza. Hamas is executing their ass. Okay. That's not even permitted. So they're like, yeah, let's support Hamas and those types of things when they're not even part of that. All I am saying is with the furries and everything, part of it is that ignorance. And then there's also literally Muslim groups that are out there pushing a specific propaganda, and they're playing a long game. Like you literally have like Qatar that buys up resources here in America and pays our politicians and goes and gifts us a $1 billion jet basically for us to go ahead and fly around. And they're playing the strategic. They have their own news channels and things in which they push whatever narrative that they want to push, So were you going to show the gun?
Yeah, I was just going through this just as interesting thing for people to look at while you're making your point. So the gun that was used was a Beretta BMX-1, I believe. I scrolled a little too far. Yeah, BRX-1. My apologies. I wasn't familiar with this rifle, but there you can see the gun there. You can also see the gun here. This is what he used. He had a red dot optic up there in place of the iron sights. And apparently this rifle is praised for, people like it for whatever. It's just what the GPT says. It's praised for quick follow-up shots. Oof.
Which is what he was doing.
Right. And he was just cranking that thing, right? So let's go to what's chambered in. Modularity, interchangeable barrels, bolt heads, and magazines for quick caliber changes. So you got 308, which is this right here is a 308.
It's pretty big.
This will drop a deer and the deer won't move, right? 30-06, which is or no, it actually doesn't say that. It said that on the website though. I think it is actually chambered in 30-06, which is even bigger. Yeah, look at that thing, dude. .6.5 Creedmoor, which is around the same size, 300 Win Mag, which is a little bigger than that, slightly, I believe. Forearm grip and stock components can also be swapped. Trigger, like 2.1 to 3.3 pounds of trigger pull, so it's got a light trigger. It's easy to over and over with this gun. And I see here a detachable 5-round polymer box magazine, but I looked it up and they have 10 to 20 round magazines available for this. And I think he had one because he was shooting too much to just be like replacing. I didn't see him reload. You know, I saw him fire.
I saw him reload.
Times.
I saw him reload, but he reloaded pretty fast.
Yeah, well, I saw him fire like 8 shots, I believe, at one point. So I think he had a 10-round magazine. And like, of course, that's one of the key things that they come after and try to restrict is magazine size. Relevance to the Bondi shooting. Yeah, why does he have the shotgun shells on him, man? Like what's up?
That part doesn't make sense. Don't you have a picture of that?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. Where's that? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that was a really confusing thing for me. Yeah, it's right there.
There he is. There he is.
I don't know.
Yeah, what's up with that? Because like you certainly can't have a sawed-off pump or something, and like in Australia.
Well, maybe he had another gun inside of his bag that
it's not big enough. It's not big enough. It'd be a big like we looked at the like Australian firearms license and what it gives you, and like the semi-automatics are the most restricted thing, and like pump shotgun, like you have to be like level C, and he was like AB.
He was AB.
So like, I guess it's just like a breech barrel where you literally click it and then shoot and you get 2 shots. But I don't get why he's got all that. He's got bird shot and buckshot is what I think that is. I don't get it. It's really messed up to be like, I'm going to torture people and like shoot bird shot in their face once they can't move around anymore. Cause that wouldn't kill a man, but maybe it would. I don't know. Never killed anybody.
That's insane.
Yeah. And you can see him here. I mean, like he's trained, he's focused. He knows what he's doing. He's like, yeah, I'm killing the infidel.
He's got that tough.
Praise Muhammad. Yeah.
Yep.
There he is. What do we have here? Oh, and I saw someone else. We should just mention this really quick. Like this happened, and like we just flew under the radar.
3 hours ago. Read this.
On Saturday evening, a gunman fired over 40 rounds in the Bruce and Holy Engineering Building, killing 2 students and injuring 9 others during a final exam review session in Providence, Rhode Island. 7 injured students remain hospitalized in stable condition, 1 in critical condition, and 1 has been discharged. Police detained a person of interest, 24-year-old Benjamin Erickson from Wisconsin, at a nearby hotel as the campus locked down overnight and canceled all fall semester finals. The community now focuses on blah, 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 blah.
That's a white guy.
Well, you never know. And even if it is a white guy, maybe they're claiming that he's yelled Allah Akbar.
Really?
Yeah.
So crazy.
Which just means God is great. And it sucks that they've polluted a phrase.
No, but you know what's not cool?
What?
I do not like, for these particular reasons, like I used to be a big fan of Andrew Tate for like just speaking against like the mainstream and the crazy wokeness that was going on with transgender.
Hustlers University.
No, but no, I'm not.
I know. I know.
I think that's a grift, but I didn't like how far they went with the right wing stuff. Not right wing. Sorry. Let me correct myself. Red pill stuff. And coming to like
the women are dogs,
but then like it was like then he started making Islam cool to like a huge small like these little boys making Islam cool is wild.
Sneako's done the same shit,
but you know,
he went around with Uthman, who like literally there's videos of him being like, we will conquer.
And you know what's crazy? I watched a video of Sneako when he got his thing unbanned, and he talks about how he denounces the red pill community. And he didn't say explicitly he was sorry, but he was basically like, I'm sorry that I took this position and I was brainwashed like the rest of them. But then he'll still stand by the Islam and Allah and Inshallah. And you know what's crazy? Look, you guys don't know this. Sneako was one of my like best friends growing up.
It's a small world. It's a very
real. I'm not kidding. We grew up in New Haven, Connecticut together. We went to the same school. He came over to my house. I went over his. We played video games together, playing Black Ops 2 on his Nintendo Switch. We did everything. We were on the same soccer teams. We went to the same we went to the same travel teams. We were close growing up.
Deep lore,
right? So it's insane when I know his family. I know how he grew up, and it's nothing to do with Islam. right? This only came because Andrew Tate started making it cool, which Andrew Tate used to be Christian and his brother still is kind of. And then he switched over to Islam once it
'Cause he
kind
could
of
have
like
more
confirmed.
wives.
Yeah, it literally confirmed like the things that he was already doing and justified them almost, right?
Well, it's almost like if you're like a conquering warlord, it's a great system for you, right?
Exactly.
You just and you know the Arabic word for hashish, for like concentrated weed product. And I heard Michael Savage go over this, and I thought it was like a real hard rant from an unk. Like, I was like,
Mhm.
ooh, I didn't know this. Like, this is fucking cool. So the word hashish, like the concentrated marijuana, it means assassin. Okay. In
Mm.
Arabic. And basically what they would do is they would take a guy, like, I don't know, like a version of you where you're 17 and you don't know what electricity is. And like you live in this area and you're just a guy, and they come up to you and they go, look, come with us. And they give you this drug and they take you through like this magical, like literally like a theme park experience of like the beautiful women, like the music, all this shit. They take you into like a pleasure room
Yeah.
and they go, this is heaven. And when you kill the person for the profit, or when you kill the person for the country, or for the jihad, you will come back to this land. And this is where your 72 virgins are. So they would
God.
drug people and then give them the religious experience of being in the heaven and understanding the divine mission.
And how old were these kids?
Like young, and also like just people didn't have understanding, man. Like you don't know what the thing is. So now we understand, like you take a substance, it fucks you up, right?
Mhm.
But like they thought that they're having like a divine, like religious experience where their mission is to kill now,
Right.
and like that's the word means assassin.
And so literally for this reason, this is why I have a massive issue with it. When you are young and you are moldable, you have to be very careful who has a platform and who can speak about certain things and push certain things.
What are you talking
Because there's a susceptible. I'm talking about the same point I was making about Andrew
about? Oh, you're
Tate
talking about
making
the
Islam,
kids, the kids
Islam
impacting.
making Islam
Yeah, okay.
cool for a 15-year-old who has no idea what the Quran actually says and just thinking like,
Well,
let's go
it's
to
just-
Dubai, bro.
They want to communicate. They want to put community notes and stuff all over everything and whatnot. I'm talking not about X, but just like YouTube and whatnot. There'll be disclaimers for things like tell the truth about this religion. You know what I mean? And like the history of it and what's taken place over time, because you have to, for people to make this informed decision. And like it's called dawah, which is like bringing people to Islam. And essentially what they try to get you to do is like the first step to being a Muslim. And they lie and they say like Christianity's divided. We're not divided, when they have Shia and Sunni and Salafi and Takfiri and all the different groups that the Christians have. It's just differently done and whatnot. They say it's simple. All you have to do is say the Shahada, which is just reciting a passage from the Quran,
Right.
which basically swears fealty to the prophet. So and they tell you that's all you have to do. And then once they get you in there, like if you leave, you're an apostate.
Yes.
And you're a problem. You see, so you commit by just doing that simple action.
That's a good point. And I want to clarify one thing. As I'm talking about these things, and as we are bringing them up here for you guys to see about the Quran, it does not mean that like you go out and you see a brown person and a Muslim
Or a person in a hijab,
a person, and then like they're suddenly like they're an extremist or something like that, and you should hate them. There is a part of the Muslim community in which there's a modern version where they do not practice these things. And the best examples I can show are like places like Dubai, places like Qatar and Saudi Arabia that have their culture or whatever, but you can go in there and there's like a Western like feel or influence to it. And they're tight on like crime, and like they'll still probably cut your hand off if you try to go and rob a store, but they're not sitting there. The American that's in the bar drinking it up with his girl there, they're not going in there shooting him because he's practiced Christianity.
And I hear you, but ultimately, here's my position is like even the moderate version and whatnot, it's not compatible with our culture, right? And like this is the thing. You have this blueprint, and then the people come over here and they say we're moderate, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing the other thing. I can believe that and buy into it, but I've read your book. And this is the problem.
Well, let me clarify. I'm not really talking about the religion. I'm talking about the ethnicity now, more specifically. Yes. They've taken kind of the religion. Actually. They've taken the religion out of it when it comes to these like big cities like Neom that they're trying to create in these projects. They haven't made it like something holy, and they stopped kind of practicing the religious aspects to it, and it's more just money talks and business.
Are you talking about the communities in the U.S.?
I'm talking about the communities overseas, which bring in a lot of these outside countries in Western, like a Dubai, which have all these super cool projects going on and things that they're trying to incentivize business. They don't make it a religious thing, which is why I can't just be like, all right, well, we need to get rid of all the people who look like them and are brown,
Well, and
because it's not all those people.
And we were talking about this before we went live, and it's an interesting observation. I think, you know, you're from New York, right? And there's a saying down here, we call it Elvis country, right? Where you got three groups: you got white people, got black people, got Mexican, and like if you're Asian or whatever, like that too. But like it's pretty much like you are what you are. But up north, it's like Puerto Rican, Greek, you know, Dominican. You could be from any one of these numbers of places. I think they speak like 114 languages in the five boroughs. So like there's not necessarily a concept of like someone walking down the street like being perceived as being like a Jew or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Whereas in New York, like if you're like, oh, like that guy is like eating a bagel with lox, and he kind of like, even if he's not wearing the thing, you're like kind of like, okay, I'm making an assumption just by looking at the guy as to what he is. The same with Zoran Mamdani, right? Like Zoran Mamdani said that he smokes weed, which is not a Muslim thing to do.
Yep.
And he doesn't, his wife models, right? So like that's against the stuff that I've read in the Quran, right? But his identity, what he associates with and what people associate him with is being the Muslim mayor, right? But that's because of more an ethnic identity that's now kind of married to that religion because of the American perception of brown equaling Muslim.
Yeah, it's like
It's interesting,
me.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like me walking around. I'm immediately, if I have sweatpants and a sweatshirt, I'm thug, right?
They think of you, yes.
Yeah, I even though I have no association, you guys have seen me a lot on camera. I basically talk
Very well dressed.
very, but you know why I do that? It's because of the perception.
I
thing.
understand.
I
Makes
have
sense.
to.
Makes sense.
That's the thing. I'm guys. I had quarter zips in fashion before they started talking about the YNs with the quarters.
You got the Bill Gates.
I
you got the fluffy sweater.
I got the quarter zips out, baby.
Yeah, you got the fluffy sweater.
This was me in high school. This was me in college. This was before they made it mainstream. And I love what they're doing with the whole quarter zip aspect. But look, you gotta not fit in with society, but you need to do the things that are like net positive.
No, I understand. And ultimately, like everyone's going to be perceived a certain way, right? And it just comes down to people being people. And ultimately, like we're trying to rise to a higher level, but people are tribal and people make judgments, you know, and we talk about this in the gray area, right? Like, I don't want to say because someone is a Muslim that I'm not going to, you know, look at them with respect and kindness and treat them with all the dignity that a human being deserves. But what I am saying is you don't get to tell me that your religion is the religion of peace and that, you know, like ultimately it's good. It would be more moral for me to do what you do when you want or you're fine with like my 8-year-old sister getting married to somebody.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
100%.
And even if you're not fine with it, you go, oh, no, that's the ancient time. It is what it is. You worship or pay respect to the guy that did that. And like my God didn't do that. Jesus didn't do that. As far as I understand from what they say, the Buddha didn't do that, right? Did the Buddha rape a 6-year-old?
No, Buddha was very peaceful.
Like I don't like it's beyond anything.
Yeah, and so you know, I also have Muslim friends. I went to college with people who are like from Pakistan. Like the people I went to school with, great people. They're American first generation. But it's just like, look, there is a group that is messing up for the rest of them, and the people who aren't doing those things sometimes
they're not pushing
actually
back enough.
Yeah, they're enabling some of this stuff,
and they're not pushing back on it, and that's the thing. And you know, I've seen, and my dad played the clip on the show, and it's a clip from 2017, and I think it's like the UAE leader, and he's like, "Listen, what's going on in Europe right now? You don't understand who you've let in." And like the problems that these people are going to create because you're not strict.
I don't think I saw.
Yeah, and
we should have had that.
We should have had that. They played that on the Alex Jones show today. Like that's a great clip. So, like it's like you're saying, like there is sanity when it comes to this in these regions. Like they get, they're like, hey, we don't want a massive like essentially like they're the ruling class. We don't want a slave uprising of people based on this fundamentalist ideology. Like we don't want the underclass to gather around a new
because they know the difference. These guys know we can either cooperate with the rest of the world, cooperate with these other religions, get super rich, have great lifestyles, or we can be like Afghanistan, or we can be like Iraq, or we can be like
the fundamentalists. They see it. They see it from a perspective as to where. Like it's the moral imperative. It's what they must do. They're not making the value judgment because, I mean, look at the video of the guy. It's literally the worst thing you could do in the world is get a gun, go to a public space and start gunning down people. I don't think you could find a worse thing to do besides like Jeffrey Epstein. or something, right? And maybe even that, like just immediate casualty, death, like immediately the worst action you could take in the shortest amount of time would be that, right?
Yeah.
And there's there shouldn't be a religion where that's justified in any way. And like that's not a rational position to hold.
Right. Oh, somebody made a good point here. He said Muslims are not exempt from hypocrisy like other ethnics or religion. The power brokers or fortune upper class may appear to be mainstream, but the great majority are not. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that is a point to make. And I'm just saying, like, not a replacement theory, but I know what a good thing is and I know what a bad thing, and we need more of the good thing for
Right.
there to be a consistency and people to like
Right.
latch on with the idea of getting along with the specific
you know what?
ethnicity.
And you know what? It's our fault too, man. It's our fault too because we went into these places and we turned them into parking lots.
100%. I can't even blame everything on
we had a direct interest. We had a direct goal of going into the Middle East and wiping out secular governments. You can say, dictators, bad people, whatever. We went into places where they had tenuous, but they had peace between different demographics. And then they go, okay, Islam, what we have here is a blueprint for control. And if we can get this in the right hands of violent, motivated people and tell them, hey, you can rule under this system and hey, it's honorable. This is what your ancestors did. This is what you should do too. It's very easy to, with the help of the US government, topple these places and then make them permanently unstable. No strong infrastructure or nation can ever be in a place like that. And it's totally controlled.
And
right?
You know what's crazy? You hit the nail on the head there, because if you think about it's either Iraq or Afghanistan. I have to fact check myself on this.
Both of them are destroyed.
We went in there, we did the regime change, and then we decided to not pay the military that was actually part of
Iraq.
it.
You're thinking of the insurgency.
Yeah, and so when we went in there, all these military trained people didn't have the pay. We made them very angry based off of changing their whole lifestyle because we did a lot of promises and just did things for ourselves. Then they go, they leave, they flee south, and then they form ISIS.
I think we spent $6 trillion in Iraq.
Yeah,
and then three in Afghanistan for a total of $9 trillion in the desert. And for what? Like,
for what?
Do you want to kill these? No.
We all we did at the end of the day was give. We created a new ISIS, created a new radical group, and gave them reason for them to rally behind something that is as bad as these negative practices that happen.
Do you see how it's political? Right? Like you have these incentives for gaining control, right? Like ultimately, like if you don't have a moral compass in the sense of like you consider yourself to be superior and able to enact violence on others, this is a great system. Like you get to praise God by taking over an area. You get to have 4 wives. You get to have child wives. You get to beat your woman if she speaks out of line. You get to make the people that don't believe what you believe pay tax. And it's things like I've seen plenty of imams talk about this stuff. We should go into it and deep dive in the future because it's a fascinating topic. Like in Sharia, you're like you walk in the street and the Muslims walk in the other way. You got to like get off the street. You got to like obey basically. And like your children, I think they must be educated in a Muslim school. Like you're not homeschooling or anything like that's not allowed.
I believe
and basically like, your child has to practice. And it's like your religion ends with you, and then your children they will follow Sharia because it's all they've ever known.
And I think the worst part of all this, I said this to somebody the other day. This goes back so long ago. Not that I'm going to question whether the person exists in Muhammad and all that. It's like, imagine
that's a fascinating debate.
Imagine this sounds so controversial. I don't want the community to come after me, but I'm just saying for an example. Imagine we took a random Austin guy off the street, a homeless guy, and we made him like a deity, and then said thousands of years ago we allowed to create this whole narrative, and then we have a whole religion that's built off of this homeless guy, and no one knows who he actually was and what he believed in at that particular point in time. Not equating the two together, I'm just giving an extreme example. So people don't really know what this guy was really like when the religion was basically founded off of him, and they don't even know if he would have actually been nice to them or actually supported them, and maybe he would have actually done some really messed up stuff to their family. But I'm
gonna have to get into the racial aspect of it. I don't know any of this stuff for certain, and that's why I'll reference it in the future episode. I just want to get into it now. I'm pretty sure there's some pretty racist stuff, especially pertaining to the black people, because I mean, who sold the most black people? It was the Arab Muslim slave traders. Like this is the truth. So like there's a whole like even darker side to this that we haven't even gotten into, and that's because facts need to be verified. And I don't want to make a statement about a religion without being 100% verified, and everything we've said here tonight is verified. We've gone to it and referenced it, but like this is the religion where like slavery, you're like, hell yeah, like we're gonna sell people and make money. Like let's go, let's do it. Our God says it's okay. And not only does our God say it's okay, our number one prophet, our messenger, practiced it during his lifetime. Like he bought and sold people, and like that's just, we got to leave that behind. That's something that died a long time ago. We got to keep it dead, but it's still alive in these countries. A lot of them, like Libya, for example, and they don't even have a government anymore. It's a failed state. They literally have slave auctions.
Yep.
And what's the religion there? You know. So like
religion can be a powerful thing, or it can be a very dangerous thing. And as we've seen, do you want to take any calls, or
if you want to debate New Groper, you can.
You know, I know Negroiper has been sitting here, he's scratching. He's like, I need to say some things specifically. I want to allow I want
people calling first, and then we can do a 2.5 hour. We can take 2 or 3 calls.
So I'll open up the line for a couple people to call in. We'll keep them short. And Negroiper, we'll let you on as well. I want no paz, peace, no war, peace. I only want peace. No, I mean, I'm not really afraid. It's just more so I'm tired. So
yeah, no, like we're today's been an emotional day. Went through a lot.
Yeah. So in general, like we can debate. I don't want to turn into a full debate, but I'm curious to hear what you guys got going on, what you guys want to talk about,
and also just like reaction to the
stuff that we've shown specifically. But let's get some people in here. What's going on?
I don't know. I'm asking it to connect to the show.
Is it logged in?
Yeah. No, we're logged in. What the fuck?
Give me a second.
Go ahead.
Let's exit this real quick.
I had a couple issues. It dropped callers on me.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Could be.
I saw you put more money in there, which is good.
It automatically.
All right, let's go.
You are connected as the host.
We're going to go ahead and throw this up here for you guys.
You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web in.
guys.
There.
All right, can you guys hear? Because I hear YouTube is having some issues.
Yeah,
Can people on
the
can
chat.
we people on X, people on Rumble, whoever's watching and on YouTube, can you guys check and you can hear us, please? I just want to make sure it's either a YouTube issue and not the rest. Please let us know. New Gripper, can you say a couple
I got
things?
us on our phone. We're making noise, but go ahead.
Make sure you guys can hear New Gripper. Okay, they can hear. You guys can hear New Gripper, okay?
All right, let's go.
Let's go ahead. All right, so get it off your chest. Where we at? I know I said a lot of things over the last week that you've had contention with. So let's.
Dude, you ducked me last. You ducked me last show. I felt the cowardice radiating off of you, man. I don't know what's going on with you.
You caught me
We're
at
gonna
a
have
jet
to hold
lag.
him down and like red pill him again.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You were just in Germany. You didn't sleep for like 3 days. You came back here, and like we're being professional, so we're still doing a show, right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And I told him, I was like, I don't want to say something on air that I didn't mean. And in a loopy phase like that, where I've only gotten 2 hours of sleep in like a couple of days,
Talking can
I'll say
always
something
turn into
stupid.
diarrhea of the mouth, especially not prepared.
And we're live too, so like that can always bite me in the ass later on. So we're kind of good right now.
Professional. We're being professional. But what's your point, New Gripper?
All right. So last show, a couple of things that stuck out. One, I think it's pretty clear that Tim, I think at least you probably haven't watched like a whole episode of Nick's show.
Watched one.
There were some generalizations made there that they weren't in line with what Nick said. For example, about him being racist, right? Like that's like the line of thing that Piers Morgan said.
Mm.
Well, if you would watch a show, he says things like in sarcasm, and it's kind of a rebuttal because it's like nobody's gonna like understand his point to begin with, and the whole thing is he's not a racist.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that. So let me clarify my point when you said that.
That's literally we had this conversation off air. And I said, you know what, I think what this is actually racist, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you should be allowed to feel whatever way you feel. And you were like, no, I don't actually buy it.
Yeah, I would say I don't think he's actually racist, New Gripper. I think if I met Nick in real life and I were to have a conversation with him, he would treat me just fine and we'd have a conversation. And he kind of like reminds me sometimes of like it's an Xbox lobby and me and my friends say some hilarious racist shit. That doesn't mean we're racist. So I give some of those things. The thing I didn't like what Pierce did was he tried to formulate the questions into traps in which he got him to basically say what he wanted him to in order to create a narrative. And then Nick was just like, you know what? I don't really feel like debating you right now, so I'm just going to give you this nugget.
Mm.
Yeah, well, it was the same thing that Candace tried pulling. And it's like when he's talked about race, he's not a racist because he doesn't view any one race as being superior. But he is like his stance is that he's a racialist essentially, which is that there are distinct differences amongst the people groups, which is observable in reality. I mean, it's not that one's better than the other, but even DNA.
You're taking the textbook definition of what a racist means, and like from that context, you are accurate in terms of like the true definition of racist, which is where I was leaning on that. But specifically surrounding the concept, like words morph just like the word gay used to mean happy. Like the words morph depending on the evolution of people's communication and how the people mean it can change. So racism now is not just mutually exclusive to that. It's actually a behavior of like the biases and how your behavior and attitude actually come out as well. And I will say there's certain things that I don't like that he does, and that like he does try to push the needle. And there's things that I don't agree with him on, but I don't hate the dude. I have no like specific like beef with him. It's just I don't agree with how he's trying to he's not. I don't think he's going to change the status quo the way that he thinks. Like we've had millions of people that have tried this, and it has never had true lasting change. Specifically, in that
your thoughts, New Gripper?
Well, I would say this. Yeah, no, I would say this. Like people and nations and people groups have always existed, and they've always been distinct. Which is why, I mean, there's why you can take a DNA test and it determines where you're from. And what his whole point is that there are differences. And like, what some people say that he's racist because he recognizes pattern recognition. And pattern recognition is something that's been ingrained for humans for thousands of years. It was a survival instinct that we had, and so it's like, if we're gonna like take a look at what he's saying, we have to understand the nuances of what he's saying, because the problem is that people, when they hear a clip here and a clip there, they don't even clip it right, so it's out of context.
Yeah, they do that to
and
your
then they
dad all
build
the
this
time,
whole.
right?
That's fair. And I would just say, like, that's a part of the game. And like, I've watched many of Fuentes' show, so like I have a pretty good perspective on him. And like I think it takes that. And honestly, it's hard in this modern environment when you have to like know about all these talking heads and whatnot to know about politics.
I didn't
And
know him.
like I figured out
through
about Fuentes because he was good at his job. Right. And it's easy to follow people that are good at their job because it's easy to follow what they're doing. And I see the reason why he's so popular is because there are so few people that have actually risen up through meritocracy in a media environment. It's literally, it's who you know, it's the Fox News relationship, the CNN relationship, So this era of new media coming through, like, he's become popular because I think he's riffing, but he is also being for real.
He's not a Brylan.
Yeah, definitely not a Brylan Holly. But go ahead, New Group.
Brylan, AstroTurf, like fake human NPC.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's one other thing I want to clarify for you, Negroiper. You said something about like the whole like race thing. When I make my points and I talk about with Rex off air as well, my biggest contention with all of this is the fact that race is so involved. You said like he's understanding the differences between humans. I mean, between different races and people are different. Just objectively speaking, by the way, if you go look it up, you can fact check me, but humans are like 99.8, 99.9%
Yeah, but they're still different.
No, but
for
that
example,
difference, I'm going to tell you where the differences come from. They don't come from a biological standpoint. They come from a culture and where you were born and assimilation based off of whatever rules and formation of ideologies. All I said to Rex was,
that's fine, but like,
let me finish my point. Hold on. Let me finish my point. I said his arguments on certain things sometimes just boil down to just the race, whereas he should be attacking the culture of whatever is being brought in. Because, for example, I may be black, but I have more in common probably with other races in terms of who are just living a suburb normal lifestyle, because that's what I've been brought up in, more than just being black and being associated with that. And I say, like, when he says, like, he's joking in jest, like, oh, when you see a black person, you should go and turn the other way. It's not really the race. It's mainly because the dangerous black people that have created the crime. And he was referencing Chicago.
I said this on the live when you weren't here. Look, if anyone looks like a thug and they're walking down the street, I'm going to probably cross the street, right? And it doesn't matter the race of the person.
And that comes down to culture, right? Because
I would say so, but it's also like, it's okay to make a value judgment in that circumstance, because so you're either rude or you might die.
But I would do the same thing for a white guy too, who had that outfit.
And I get it. And that's the point I'm making too. But ultimately, there are things that, like that Irina lady, the Ukrainian lady, she didn't understand the inner city violent crime problem. She didn't understand, what exactly to look out for in regards to that. And then she gets knifed in the neck, right? And if she had been rude or mean or profiled, even if it is rude or mean, maybe she's alive. And like this is the point. And this is why Nick makes the points that he does, is because we're not willing to concede that point, because like it's better to be rude and be alive than it is to like, the socioeconomic factors of being stabbed in the neck. Like that would be my argument.
Yeah, but I also want to make a point specifically around exposure. His upbringing, he tries to point to Chicago, but he was not like
from the suburb.
He wasn't in the inner cities like that. I grew up in the inner cities. I know all of these particular things. If you're actually in the hood, for the most part, you can walk just fine without having something, unless you're like going at a specific time of night where like the real crazy people come out and there's like real bullshit that happens.
Yeah, but see, that's for you though, and that might see as someone else. Take a little advantage.
I'm not saying that just for me. I'm saying even when I've taken my white friends in those areas, it's common sense that comes out of. But again, when you see the news, they have to show you the tantalizing thing. It doesn't mean that those people aren't committing crime. I'm just saying the day to day looks a lot different than what's being represented on the mainstream.
The issue is fought over, and I want to get New Ripper's take on this. The issue is fought over and not conceded here specifically because of how these European countries treat the people that actually commit the crime, right? Like they don't lock them up or they release them on early bail or whatever. And then if you tweet about it or you say something about it, they put you in prison. Right. Like, and this is what we see. So this is why people are willing to die on that hill, in my opinion, is just because like that can't happen over here. We can't reach that point to where, you know, to be nice to the criminal exceeds our desire to actually protect the citizen.
I'm not with that California bullshit.
Well,
Nick Ripper, what about you? What's your contention on this? Because I've said a lot.
I would say this, like, there is, you know, I think it goes beyond just cultural, but I mean, like, there are genetic differences between, like, even between black and white. Like, for example, as a white guy, I can't get
if it's 99.9, how is it different? Like, what
difference? Yeah, and also, I'd say this too: the guy who figured out DNA, he came out and said he believes, like, studying it his whole life, and as the guy who kind of wrote the book on it, that he that he believes that there's a difference between races on a genetic level.
They took his Nobel, didn't they? I think they took his Nobel Prize away.
No, I know.
Took that guy's prize away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he said that. Yeah, they kicked him out of his lab and exiled him because he dared say what we all know.
Well, but there's enough science to refute what he's particularly saying. Like, I know you're taking the circumstance, but there's a lot of people that don't have like a political leaning, and you look objectively at the science. Like, there is a specific thing. Like, I'm not saying like everything. That's why there's that 0.2 that presents
it comes down to this, is that you can't look at a group of people and make a judgment about them, because ultimately individuals are individuals, and to do that to any one group, I believe, is wrong, and it's not a Christian thing to do. I understand the points that both of y'all are making, and I would just come at it and say all people have equal value and deserve equal rights and opportunities.
Well, yeah,
and like I just here's the thing. If we all hate each other for various reasons or various differences and whatnot, the people that agree on everything because of their religious system, like these Muslims, they don't have this problem. It's like you worship what we worship.
Because they're genetically they're the same group.
Yeah, but they got the gingers, and they got the white converts, they got the black converts. Like it doesn't care.
No, by the way, there are literally white like people in like who are actually Muslim, and who, like, I'm saying white. When I say white, I'm talking about like pigmentation wise, but like have that. No, even European, but also like who are Middle Eastern, but are actually like fair white skin.
Yeah, because of the Caucasians,
right? Exactly.
The Turkmenistan people.
We prescribe the word white, right? Here's the issue: we say race because we've created that, right? We've created this system where on a sheet of paper you have to check whether you're white, black, Asian, or Hispanic, right? We've created that system. But from a genealogy standpoint and from just an earth in the ground standpoint, nature doesn't care about that shit. Okay. Really, you're just looking at the pigmentation difference. And if I were to line up like 5 Middle Eastern people that look white just off of pigmentation, they're culturally different because of the specific things that they learned there. Now, if there's a Muslim person who has a background of who's like, I don't want to say Muslim, who's Middle Eastern, who is born in America and has never been exposed to Islam, more likely he's going to be like, if he's like lived like you, in, you know, having a lot of land, being here in America, he could be Christian, and he would just be culturally the exact same as Rex.
That's true, and I know people like this. I know, like, one of my best friends in high school, Seamus, phenomenal guy, half Arab, another phenomenal guy. Horace works on my car, phenomenal dude, great friends with my roommate. I consider him to be a good friend as well. Also an Arab guy, right? And I don't discredit anyone based on skin color or make a value judgment. My thing is around the whole subject is, you talk about being nature doesn't care. I would say God doesn't care ultimately. Right. And that
I would agree with that.
That's what I would say. And everyone has a purpose, and everyone has value, and everyone deserves to be here. And at the end of the day, I'm against things that are anti that message. It's why I'm against the globalist and all that anti-human transhumanist garbage, right? Of leaving the human race behind and merging with the computers. It's also why, like, on both sides of that curve, I'm against like the caveman culture of raping the 6-year-old.
Yeah. And
right?
so, like,
yeah,
I'll let you get your point out in a second here, New Grip. I just want to preface one more thing. the only issue I have with Nick is not like the funny jokes that he makes. Cause when he was like saying the me mom, like I was dying laughing. Like
That's pretty funny.
I was like, he was like, it was funny because he was egging him on. Where I have the issue is like Nick is a well-informed and educated person, but not everybody who watches Nick knows the nuances to specific things, and they will listen to him and take whatever he says as a resource and as a specific matter of fact. And if you watch the last show, I specifically said there's an availability bias where Nick can get something wrong on paper and just give you a factoid, and then people will go and take that fact. Or a bigger example is when you create just a blanket statement, there are specifics. Even if he has nuances to how he feels, there are other people that are like galvanized by this, and like they're like, remember that thought process I told you. You go on X, it's one community and the echo chamber happens there. You go on TikTok, you're gonna get, and it's the same like with TikTok and Instagram, and there's a black community of people that like I have to sit there and pull them out of their brainwash and how they feel about white people and stuff like that. There's the Nick Fuentes of the liberal, right? That's where my contention.
Umar. I'm thinking of
Dr. Umar is a good
Umar right
doctor. That is a great example. He would literally uninvite me to his house if he knew that I had been with multiple white women in my lifetime.
And I'm also not a fan of me because I date black women from time to time.
And he says,
so not a fan of that. It's called bunny hop.
Yeah, it's called bunny hop.
You're not allowed to bunny hop.
You a snow bunny.
You're not allowed to bunny hop. You the devil. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But there are people listening to Dr. Umar. There are people listening to Dr. Umar, and they're like, oh, Rex, you're an awful person because of that, because of the generalized
no
statements.
miscegenation. Yeah.
And so that's all I say is like, dude, I'm gonna call everybody out on it. It's not specific to Fuentes. It's just like, dude, this is your message, but this is not how you actually change society for the net positive. And what I'm trying to do is give the right message.
I can see that. I mean, I can see like definitely some of the clips and some of the full shows I've seen. I understand the jokes and the context, but I also understand like you saying black people should be in prison for the most part. Like number one, like,
and I'm like, what are you talking about?
I get it's humor and whatnot, but that's a position. Like ultimately, if you're trying to make a movement attractive to like the normie or whatever, they're gonna see that and they're gonna go like, you are Hitler.
Yeah, there's more people in the center on the bell curve.
Well, I mean,
go ahead, man.
Well, I just pose this question.
Yep.
Like with anything, with anything, when you're processing information, we can't structure society for low IQ individuals. They're cooked. They cannot help it. That it is what it is.
Okay.
But for normal people who have critical analysis skills, right? You would look at the context. Like when he was talking about the black people thing, he explained that in depth. He's done it on a show multiple times. And there's a lot of resource out there. He's referencing the crime. He's not referencing non-violent, non-criminal people. He's referencing a specific group in there, and there's context there. And so, like, context drives meaning.
But I will say,
when we're given,
I have watched quite a bit of him as well, and I will say he doesn't. He makes the jokes, but he doesn't actually often give context. He's just in a flow state to where he just kind of like says whatever's on his mind, right? Because he's like he's just very powerful with his words. I am saying like in those circumstances where he has to make the blanket statement and say a specific thing, there are people that like, dude, the default human doesn't normally critically think because it takes a lot of brain resource power to do that when you're watching so much media every single day. So I would say the average intelligent person is not doing that. I don't even do that all the time. And I had to start forcing myself to do that as I start doing these deep dives and the research, because it takes a lot of energy to do that, man. I don't expect everybody to do this.
What's your takeaway, New Groper?
Yeah, no, I think that obviously we have an obligation to do research. The problem with the show, with long running, it's the same thing that happens to Alex Jones. People jump in, and there's a lot of context that is derived from previous episodes and things of that nature. And I think that people don't get that, and they don't take the time to go look at it, and they don't like, okay, well, what does he mean by this? And go look at it.
I think that works both ways.
That's
though,
where,
too, right?
like with podcasts, that's where the problem can be. Like, I think what I think a good idea for you guys would be, if you're open to it, is like when you do deep dives on stuff. Do you guys have a website for your podcast yet?
No.
This is a good point. This is a good point. Like publishing, like what we're like basically show notes,
like when you
research.
reference statistics and stuff like that, just post it.
You know,
and then
you know
when
who
you bring
did
it
that?
back up in passing,
You know who did that and did such a good job of it? I'm not trying to interrupt you here. Steven Crowder. I will especially say during his earlier days.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah, he does a great job of referencing, and that's something like that's why I'll do a quick like little mini plug with that. Like hold up the products if you would. Like if you go to goprimalcore.com and you buy phenomenal ashwagandha for us, reduces cortisol, raises testosterone. And if you get the elemental drive, which is really the ultimate nootropic, physical boosting capacity mineral formula available on the market, if you go check out the benefits on these and the price point on these, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Go buy these to support the show so we can actually do stuff like that. Because right now, like me and Tim are operating off the limited bandwidth of what we can do. And we especially appreciate you, New Groiper, as someone who is taking the products. How are you feeling taking the products?
I wouldn't say a major difference right now because I'm guessing these minerals and stuff. It takes a while to balance out your deficiencies, but I have noticed a difference. It's like I'm less sluggish, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Cool. Well, that's great.
It takes sometimes some weeks of consistent dosage is what it says.
No, 100%. And especially, are you taking just the mineral or are you taking the ashwagandha as well as the mineral?
I'm not taking ashwagandha. I don't consume any products made from India.
I got you. But you're taking the mineral.
But hey, if that's somebody's thing, then I would recommend them try it. For me, I'm just not that guy.
The point is you're taking it, and it's like you said, if it killed you, you'd come back and haunt me and Tim, and I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
As of today, we're doing good. I'm glad you say it's made you feel less sluggish. Or sluggish. And if you go to goprimalcore.com and you use the code that's available, you can get 25% off with code 25 or core 25. That's core 25. Use the code. It's a good deal, especially on this male multi-mineral. I'll tell you, the products I've designed at InfoWars Life and then now into the Alex Jones store with the Bigly guys, I have used a reduced version of this mineral form in multiple formulas. And usually what I just put in there is boron and zinc. We've got a ton of other things in there that balance it out, especially for long-term supplementation. It's very important that you take a zinc product that also has a copper in an ideal ratio so you can absorb both and not be deficient in either one and have optimal levels of it. And we have that here in this product. We've got selenium, which is essential for fertility and male health. We've got magnesium, essential for 300 enzymatic biological processes within the body. And we've got the boron and the zinc to raise overall testosterone and free testosterone. Thanks for letting me do the plug, New Groiper. Now, getting back to what you were saying.
I do agree with you on the website thing. Only thing right now is issue. Like I want to do that in the future, but I want to do it right. The only reason why I haven't done something like that is because it does require a huge amount of energy in order to I want to make sure all that stuff is on there properly, chronological to the thing. And there's a lot that's going on. We would need, we need another person.
We would need a guy
in order to help me with doing things like that because there's a lot of other things going on in the background.
Switching too, so it's a whole thing. But that's a phenomenal. I agree with you. I was always, I've had my issues with Crowder over the years, just like as a talking head or whatnot. But I always thought that it was honorable that he did that. And it helped me in a lot of gun control debates early on with liberals talking to them about stuff, being like, hey, you're using 37,000 gun deaths. There were 500,000 to over 3 million defensive uses of a firearm, in the same year. So having factoids and stuff available, especially, if people are getting real value out of our deep dives or taking something away from our deep dives, being able to index that and reference that, I think that is super important.
Yeah.
So I agree, New Groiper.
Yeah.
That's a good
last thing. Go ahead. Go, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. By the way, I know you probably got to get the other callers here in a second, but
it's just you. You're the only one on the board yet, man. You're good. Keep going.
Oh, really? Hey. Guys, you got to call in too. I mean, there's other good ideas out there. You just got to bring them.
Yeah, we've gotten callers, but no one like you. You're really, really you're down for the show. We appreciate that. So thank you.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I'm gonna say it here, and you heard it. You probably didn't hear it here first, but you'll hear it. This whole thing in Sydney, it's a false flag. Not in the sense that it didn't happen, right? But in the sense of it's being used for a specific purpose, and I think first of all, let me just think about this, right? The police station is within viewing distance of the shooting, okay? And it takes that long to get there. Two, the shooting is done by somebody who's clearly trained. The owner of the guns in a gun restricted nation that's like basically like super hard to get, somehow manages to squeak through, and then he's also on a watch list, but somehow they let him have a gun.
The watch
Right?
list thing. There's
Then on
nuance.
top of that, you've got a perfect video of the entire shooting. And here's the thing that catches me. It happens to be a guy that just happened to be standing there. And two, look at look at the quality of the shot of the video. If it's taken by hand on a like an iPhone or something, the camera would shake, especially if there's adrenaline. You know, like if somebody's shooting and you're within eyes distance of it, and you know they can turn and shoot you if they wanted to, that's going to make adrenaline flow, and that's going to make your hand shake. And the video is perfectly still and professionally recorded.
See that you can get into the weeds with things like that without us all knowing the context, which is why I try not to speculate. But with that, he can easily have his phone rested to where it's sitting on the ledge and he's ducking behind cover for something.
Right.
Like that's easy. That's an easy
and that's
explanation.
That's what I thought about too. But the thing that was the most interesting about the actual video itself was not a part of it was how still it was, but look at the transitions on how he's moving the camera and how it's perfectly smooth.
No, but there's nuances to people who know how to.
If you're moving it left to right, you're going to shake.
Here's the thing. If he had the diligence in a stressful moment to sit there, stop, take the time to record and document it, means that this person is a particular person.
Well,
right?
they do say that the cameraman never dies. And
no, but I see the
that.
thread, though, that he's trying to draw there. That is where the rhetoric can get a little bit shaky, right? Because there's always correlations that don't actually lead to causality, right?
Well, here's my evidence for this, right? Israel in particular, they staged October 7th, right? They staged that. The whole thing was set up. The Hamas was funded by Israel.
It was a military stand. It was a military stand down. It's the most secure border on the planet. Ivan Ranklin, former tier 1 operator guy, came on my dad's show. He's like, look, I've been there. I've seen this place. They have the place where they keep the Apache attack helicopters. It's right next to where the terror attack took place. I would be there in under 10 minutes with guns roaring. That's exactly what he said. Right. So I take your point. Right. I agree with you. It was a stand down, and like the Israelis themselves have called for an investigation.
But this is in Australia. It doesn't mean that
go ahead, New Groper.
Well, here's another aspect. The shooting in Brown University happened at the same around within a 24-hour period, and it targeted apparently some professor of
Judaic studies.
And they had a bunch of Jews out there crying about, anti-Semitism on the news. And what's really interesting is that some of the victims that were tied to that Brown shooting were also victims of the Parkland shooting, the high school shooting. Now, your statistical chance of being caught in a school shooting are minute, probably like less than 1%, if I had to guess, right? With all the schools every day, you getting caught up in it is
this is an expensive
but you getting caught in 2 school shootings?
Yeah, but
it's statistically improbable.
Here's the thing. I don't even you can make your speculative judgments on this, and that's fine. We value your opinion, but me as far as a person, I don't even like to go there because it's too expensive, and I've seen it ruin too many lives.
Yeah, no, right. These views are only my own.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's just like David Hogg and all these fucking people. Good grief. But I mean, it's just it's. I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie, and I'm not commenting.
I'm commenting because I have nothing to do with any of that. All I am saying is look.
Well, no, I'd be careful.
Here's the thing, New Gripper. I'm sure there's going to be some people watching this that will agree with you, and there's going to be some people like me who are kind of just like probably more middle ground about this thing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you're completely wrong. There's any number of combinations that could work for this equation, but I'm rooted in probability, right? the probability, like we've had
Right.
back-to-back school shootings in certain situations where there have been like within days of each other and those types of things where it's all about where the explosion of the energy is. Right now, we're at a very heightened state of conflict around these
Right. Well,
topics about Islam
Christians,
and
Muslims, and
Christian
Jews, yeah.
and it's at its peak, right? So you're going to expect probabilistically that there's going to be more events centered around where there are people who are angry in the background that have heated conversations about what they should be doing in X, Y, and Z, where you can have multiple events occur across the world. Because if you're talking about 8 billion people, the chances that
Whoa.
I'm with you.
the chances that two events
with
that
you.
happen in two different places, it's not quite the probability that's coordinated is lower than the chance of them actually happening, right?
Well,
at the same
so
time.
I'm with you on the probability of there being these events breaking out. What where I think the odds drop, in my opinion, is on a person. Parkland's in. Believe me, correct me if I'm wrong. That was in Florida, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then where's Brown located? Because I know it's not Florida.
Rhode
It's
Island.
somewhere up north.
Rhode Island, I believe. Providence.
Yeah. So we like no, so from the southernmost point of America to the northernmost, and it's the same, or it's one of the same people is involved in two events. Either that person has the worst luck, and then we need to put them in a concrete bunker
Which way?
until the end of time because
He's saying that someone at the Rhode Island shooting was also a apparent victim at the Parkland mass shooting that took place. I think that was like 2018.
Yeah, I'm not going to discredit that. I'm saying
Right.
when you correlate the thing that's happening in Australia to something that's happening in Rhode Island, and that the fact that they're happening on the same day, and then tying Israel, and then it's too many iterations of connections of stream to line where the probability literally drops off a cliff as far as that being like a scenario that clearly is tied together. I'm just saying the probability that they happen independently of each other because of the fact that there's more heightened emotions is higher than the first scenario.
You remember when that there was some peace deal in Gaza. This is while the war is still I know it's still going on and whatnot, but this is while it's still going on actively. And this is maybe, it's crazy how time flies. I want to say this might be even as far as a year back or something like that. There was that embassy shooting. And I forget where it was, but remember it was the two people, and they're like good looking people, and they were like dating each other or something. And they both die at this embassy. And then the guy is like a radical jihadi, like just kill the Jews type of a Muslim character, whatnot. And that happened at a very auspicious time for the peace negotiations. So an event like that, I can clearly look at and go, okay, this is really suspect. But this thing in Rhode Island, there's just not enough data to make that claim. And I agree with you, Tim.
Well,
I'm just not there. Even if the Parkland person is there.
The thing about it for me is like the reason why I'm so suspicious was the immediate response both by Israel's government on this and political figures both in Australia and America. They were all like, it was like they all came out at the exact same time, and it was like the answer to these problems was we need to censor social media, and specifically the algorithms, to where anti-Semitism just gets wiped from the algorithm.
Okay.
And basically any critique of Israel or Jewish power or anything of that nature, they want it to where it just doesn't show up.
Yeah. So let me
and
clarify.
It was like they all kind of came out at the same time. With that.
Let me also
that's why I
clarify.
found it suspicious.
Let me clarify something about that. I'm not saying that like they're not using it as an opportunity to push a specific agenda, right? Here's the thing: when you're at a state where the world is so chaotic right now, as is, and there's heightened tensions around, it doesn't take a whole lot for you, or you don't have to wait a whole lot of time. Like, for example, with a school shooting, as sad as it is for me to say this today, I don't have to wait very long for if I had like an anti-gun agenda for there to be another school shooting for me to say,
every time, every time,
like the time periods at which those events are happening is frequent enough to where like I don't have to orchestrate a whole thing. I can let it happen organically to where it does happen because there's enough angry people that are willing to go do that and have the idea to do that, right? So all I'm saying is like, be careful, and this goes to other people, not specifically just to you, when you're tying these threads and realize that there is an area. Oh, dude, I have to figure out this term, but like it's essentially where we normally give credit for like we kind of like avoid that there is still a high probability for randomness in these situations, and we tie circumstances together in order to like say like,
Right.
okay, this is a matter of fact of what it happened, and it just comes from not knowing. And humans need to rationalize. It's something that we have built into our
Well,
system, which is why it's
right.
very easy for us to draw conclusions for these things.
Well, I'm just exercising basic pattern recognition skills here because I also tie in as well the timing of everything. Because so first of all, we have the the Israel versus the right. That's been the biggest thing, and they've lost that debate. They try to get people censored. They try to get people removed from institutions and stuff, and that failed. And so it seemed to be that there was like an agenda, like a pivoting of, okay, well, these Muslims are bad. It's like, see, guys, I'm cool. The Muslims are bad. And then all of a sudden, we have the shooting done by a former CIA contractor who screamed Allah Akbar and shot the National Guardsmen, the two of them. And then we have the school shootings in Australia and in America, and it was jihadi John. It's just I find it very suspicious. And two, like I don't know, like that guy who shot them, he knew what he was doing. Like he wasn't freaking out. He was calm and collected, and he was just going to town. Like
I do think a part of that.
I
I agree that he definitely had firearms training. He definitely knew what he was doing with that rifle. I think the bravery comes from like whatever you think about it. Like I would tend to agree with you. It's probably a green flag operation, and like that's just me making a subjective I don't know. It's just me speculating, but like these things are very common. But this person, like they're doing their job. They're doing what their book tells them to do.
By the way,
so like, I think a lot of bravery comes from that.
If it is truly a green flag operation, there are better places to pick than Australia. Just keep this in mind,
I mean,
guys.
but they've had this problem with the protests and whatnot. So I mean, like, what better way to discredit anything like that going forward than to do something like this? In closing, New Groper, because we have to end the show. We're tired. Just like, do you have a further point you want to make? Just in closing, what are your thoughts on all this?
I would just say this. Like I do think it was a jihadi. I mean, I saw some stuff about that guy from Sydney being an IDF. I don't buy that. But
That would
we
be
just,
insane.
like what I've been telling y'all for the past couple of weeks. It's spooky season. It spooks everywhere, and it's unfortunately, when our government has had a history of doing these operations, and we're becoming aware of it now we have to pose the question. Like, it has to be asked, because what used to be what we thought was random turned out to be like color revolutions and things of that nature. Like, we've toppled entire governments and made it look organic. So if we're going to be unbiased, we have to at least look into it. And if nothing's there, nothing's there. But I think it's like, when you look at the coordinated everything, how it rolled out, and you see the immediate response, and it was very targeted. It wasn't like, we mourn the loss of these people, this is bad. It was anti-Semitism bad, and now we need to get you all off of social media. That was the angle. And it's like, well, this guy committed an act of gun violence, but your focus is the social media, and so are all these other pundits that are the Israel First people, and they're all like puppeting the same thing. And then you've got, I believe it was the Israeli foreign minister Twitter account posted the exact same thing. It's just very suspicious to me. And unfortunately, like, I would love to live in a world where, these tragedies, well, we can accept them as just being tragedies. But if time has taught us anything, it's that, it's like, we shouldn't trust what we hear at all. And then, we should doubt what we see.
Yes,
because nothing is.
That's a very understandable perspective, and I'm not trying to cut you off. I want you to make your final point here, but I understand that you're seeing patterns here, and I'm seeing some of those patterns as well. We don't agree on everything on this or all issues, but it is suspect. Like, oh, the tragedy happens now, we must have the internet ID. I can see that as I can see that as realistic. I can see that as something like that's a logical end to like every chaos is an opportunity for these people.
That's where I contribute more of it is like, again, I said because of the frequency,
it happens and they go, damn, we're gonna hop on that.
Yeah, exactly. You take a chance, and not that there aren't specific things. You were right; they do create situations that appear random, and actually they're strategically planned out. I'm just saying those take a long time to execute and create. Randomness happens a lot quicker and is very easy, right? You just have to be patient in these circumstances.
Excellent points from both of y'all. Thank you for joining us tonight, New Gripper. We're gonna go ahead and wrap pretty soon. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, hey, we'll see you guys. Take it easy.
For sure, man. God bless.
Man. What I would say,
always good to have him call in, man. Always saving the show, honestly, seriously.
But here's the thing: I wouldn't have been able to make like 80% of those comments had I tried to talk about that on when I was jet lagged. You know,
yeah, you're tired. Right?
I would have been cooked.
Yeah, and like obviously, like we're gonna have days where the show is really good, and we're gonna have days where the show is mid.
I thought today was phenomenal. You know,
today's really good, but you can't expect to like no sleep. You're gonna perform and be like LeBron. It's not gonna happen, right? And the same thing like me having tum hurt and like being sick. Like it's just things happen. Life is life. We're here to provide y'all with the best show possible. We think we did a pretty good job covering the story, right?
Yeah.
And just the various different angles of all of it, because, you know, we gave a multi-layered perspective where it wasn't necessarily right wing or left wing, and you had different thoughts and I had different thoughts, but at its core, we examined the ideology behind this attack, and we go like, that's not compatible with what we know, right?
Yeah. The system as a whole with Islam and the practices that come with which the radical breeds out of doesn't exist for the other religions. Therefore, that is why there needs to be some sort
of aberrant.
Yeah,
that's the correct English word to use. It's an aberrant religion. It doesn't follow the core principles of a peaceful way of life. It in its very nature is a blueprint to take over.
But then I don't also agree with like taking the opportunity to be like, well, anything that you say about anything that has to do with specifically, like, you can't tie anti-Semitism and being critical about just one particular situation, like a genocide, and correlate the two exactly. There is anti-Semitism when it comes to like
it's interesting.
The Islamic people who have these agendas are also doing the same thing, reverse genjutsu, where they're using the mainstream of these things to push their agenda too, in which you can see what they believe based off of the Quran. They're also, if you don't believe, guys, that there's also another entity out there that also tries to like brainwash Americans into like also having the hatred in the other direction, you would be sorely mistaken.
What does it mean to be anti-Semitic? It means to hate Abraham's descendants, and Abraham's descendants aren't only the Jews, right? I mean, this goes back to Genesis, and a lot of people aren't familiar with this Bible story, but it's the truth. Abraham was married to Sarah, right? And they had fertility problems and whatever. And God's like, you're going to wait. I'm going to give you a kid, right? And then he's going to be Jacob or Israel, right? Or Isaac, I think. God, this is horrible. I'm embarrassing myself in front of the audience. But anyway, he goes to have his descendant, and he can't wait. Like, he wants to go sleep with the handmaiden, and then he has sex with her, and then that baby is named Ishmael, right? And then Abraham freaks out, and then Sarah makes him send them out into the desert to die, and the angel comes down and gives them food, and it's like, okay, like, you're going to be the head of these people, basically. It's like, this is ancient 4,000-year-old prehistory stuff. Yeah. And it's all still being litigated in this area. And there's like, these people have fought each other and hated each other along generational lines forever. And sitting in the West, we look at this and we're like, what the fuck? Like hell no. Like this is dumb, but it's like 4,000 years ago, we were betrayed.
Yeah. Well, my biggest issue with this whole entire thing is, and this is the last point I'll make.
Yeah, we got to go to
bed. We don't separate. We don't do enough of separating like Israeli and like BB Jews versus just like Jews around the world. Like somebody who's in Australia, okay, they might have some certain things, but they're not the ones with up in arms and guns, like
Well,
going out
whatever.
there.
They
and
don't
trying to kill.
deserve. They don't deserve
Yeah.
to fucking die.
So
Like,
there's that, and then I have plenty of Jewish friends, like that I've known over the years, who are just like normal Americans and are just like they're also Europeans and stuff like that. And so like there's this smaller population, right, that has maybe done some more extreme stuff by going into Gaza and bulldozing and doing a lot of things. But as a result, you've taken the brush and said, okay, well, the word Jew now corresponds to everything else. And the Jews here in America should have a target on their back and be worried about it.
Right,
And
I
the
don't
Jews
agree
that
with
are
that, yeah.
happening in Australia should be worried about it and be concerned. When more often than not, those people are just normal bankers. They may do some weird Yiddish
normal
stuff.
bankers.
No, I'm saying
It's just funny. It's just
but
funny.
they may be some like one I know is like he's in this he's like he works for Deloitte or whatever, like his dad or whatever. But like he's not like going out there doing like evil malicious stuff. He's a normal family guy. It has nothing to do with any of this
Well,
stuff.
you're not necessarily worried about a terror attack.
Yeah. So, but
So
where they're
I
trying,
take your point.
but where they're trying to do the whole anti-Semitic push, and where there should be pushback is not just allowing the narrative to just get out of control to where the whole thing gets lumped in. Because the same thing can happen with any other race, guys. Like as a black person, I would hate that when I hated
Kill the
when
white man.
I hated when these Antifa,
The
Black Lives
Floyd
Matter
riot,
people went
yeah.
out there and rioted and broke everything. Now, had that narrative gotten out of control and there weren't some sort of brakes that were put on that thing, who knows? I mean, this is a very extreme scenario, but let's say like it happened enough that people just got so angry that they were like, all right, fuck it. All the black people, all the things, doesn't matter if you were halfway across the country and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's like,
right. And it comes down to the key thing of they don't want us to be united on a class basis, on an economic basis. So after the Tea Party and after Occupy Wall Street, they get really scared and they start pushing the race stuff really, really hard until or after 2011. Right. And the thing that I'm pissed about is I feel like I was robbed. I feel like you were robbed of really that more peaceful time in America where I think we really did reach a point. People want to go, no, things were never fixed and it was always bad. And it's always been terrible. I'm not saying people don't act badly to each other, but I feel like in like the 90s, 2000s era, I think we really reached a point to where it wasn't a big deal anymore. And then Obama came in and everyone's like, great, like I voted for a black president or whatever, racism's dead. And he kind of makes it his pet issue. And then going forward to get headlines, to get clicks, all the news organizations, they've followed the same blueprint and everything's been racialized.
well, I think also I would say the madness started in 2016. Honestly, that's when it kind of like really took a turn, and then Biden came in, fucking cranked that shit up even more, and then we had more of the same.
Well, you don't understand. Poor kids are just as smart and talented as white kids.
But in
they're jumping on my lap. Yeah.
in conclusion,
yeah,
all I have to say about this whole thing is, look, we can't just let the wheels off and just be like, okay, everybody just go out there and let's just throw haymakers at people who have nothing to do with these situations, right? And everybody's going to have emotions. Everything needs to be centered around all the groups of people who are actually executing on the bad things. That's why I wouldn't say ban get all the Muslim people out of my college. I don't want them there, like, because I know the ones that like they're just normal people, right? So that's all. I mean, it's just the nuances, and we're not doing enough of that. It's black and white.
I think we did a phenomenal show. That's why it's a gray area. We appreciate everyone that's here tonight. And I'll just say it again, even though it probably falls on deaf ears, it is whatever. It would make our day if you went to goprimalcore.com and you use code core25 for 25% off for you, for a family member, as a gift or a present, or just to use to improve your own life and your physical and cognitive health. I would go and check out Elemental Drive and Ultimate Ashwagandha at goprimalcore.com. And that lets us do things like get someone to switch cameras for us, get someone to help us pull up clips. We don't have to do it all ourselves. That helps us build a website, which will turn into a repository of information. You'll be able to go back and quote and find things and studies and information. And it goes towards just making sure things get bigger and better in the future. We want to do a lot of cool things, a lot of cool, different, interesting projects. And that's all made possible by the viewer and listener support. And that's why we thank you. And we humbly ask you, if you will go to goprimalcore.com and check out the great deals and use code 25.
You use that code, it ends up being like around $25.
Right. Because it stacks on top of other discounts. It's a great deal. So just saying that in closing, I think we've had a phenomenal discussion tonight. Thank you all. Good luck. And
modern life has left us out of balance. Long ago it was once said, certain remedies could grant a man the vitality of a horse. For over 6,000 years, these natural remedies have been harvested and tested by generations. Why create complex formulas when nature's roots are still in our hands? Try Primal Core, ancient remedies for modern life.